99 cent rental.
This is 99 Cent Rental. I'm your host, Brian White, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Dave White. Hey, Dave, how you doing over there?
Bienvenue à Toronto.
Oh, don't do that. Don't be speaking that French at me.
Look, I have yet to come in contact with a French-speaking person here. I'm sure there are many of them. They're a very dual lingo culture.
This is our first sort of like bi-national episode, isn't it?
That's right. We are. I am now international.
Yeah.
Man of no mystery.
No, I just remember when I went to Calgary, I had a stopover in Montreal, and Montreal was aggressively French in such a way that it was almost like they were doing it to spite me. Like
they're doing it to spite the rest of Canada. That's for sure.
I was like, I don't know where I am. I don't know when my flight is. I don't speak French. I don't know how far a kilometer is.
Gosh, it's like 0.66 of a mile. Listen, there is a documentary about the separatist movement, and how when it sort of reached its peak in the 70s and how explosive it got. I think it's called Action 1970 or something. It is fucking wild.
That sounds cool as hell.
They kidnapped people. They killed one guy.
Yeah, it's like Italy in the 70s, man.
Yeah, I mean, but in a Canadian kind of way. So, a little smaller,
kinder, gentler terrorism.
Honestly, it's like, what if the terrorists who kidnapped John Paul Getty III were like really nice to him?
But they kind of were, though, weren't they?
They actually, they kind of were nice to him. Well, a couple of them were. One of them cut his ear off.
Yeah. No, what is that? That Queensryche record, Operation Mindcrime, was inspired in part by separatist guys that Jeff Tate knew. I mean,
it's a wild story. I knew nothing about it until I saw this. Oh yeah, in case anyone didn't notice, I moved to Canada and now I live here now, and this is where I am now coming to you from.
We live here now.
I think I live.
Yeah, well, it's hard to explain to someone who never had the experience what a trip to the video store was like back in the day. The shelves were choked with absolutely bizarre crap made on tiny budgets, completely divorced from any recognizable reality, and it was the best. We intend to talk about every single one of them. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod. Dave's over there at that queer wolf.
I
told you. I told you. Don't be doing that.
Went through all the French words I know, so don't worry about it.
I encourage you to give us a follow. We got a lot going on, and that's kind of the hub of how you keep up with it all. And if you don't know, we had another show called Bring Me the Axe. Our latest episode covering the sapphic doom of Dracula's daughter is out now.
Bleak.
Fucking love that movie, though. It's so good. Yep, that's we'll be back next week with a look at Thundercrack. Thundercrack! Exclamation point. I'm looking forward to that one.
It's a sexy one.
You said it. You can also contact us directly at 99centrentalpod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a cheesy movie that you love and like to hear us give it the old business. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there, while paying members get ad-free episodes. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod, Do You Think I'm Spooky? The latest episode is a look at the season 2 episode, Dud Calm.
Yeah, bit of a dud. Bit of a dud calm, if you ask me.
Oh, shit, you did it.
Yep.
You did it. Go home, folks. Yep. There's also... Actually, I thought it was a pretty good episode.
It wasn't okay.
It was all right. Yeah. As far as filler episodes go, it's not a bad one. You could do worse. There's also our monthly Bring Me the Axe Millennium Edition, which is a bonus episode in which we explore a modern horror movie. Current episode is a look at Knife plus Heart.
Ooh.
Also sexy.
I liked that film. I thought it was a good episode too.
I thought it was a good episode. I liked the movie a lot. I was very impressed with it. It's
rare that I get to talk about the pornography industry on this show.
Boy, you're about next week, man.
I'm just going to talk about pornography for sure, yeah.
Buckle up, folks. Also, all Patreon subscribers, even the free tier, get access to our Discord server. Paying members get access to additional channels like voice and video chat, if that sort of floats your boat. Also, the watch parties option. pop on in on Friday night, watch the subject of Monday's episode with a whole bunch of weirdos. We have fun. Yeah, so it's no voice. It's just us chatting in the text. It's fun. We watched this movie and we had a very positive reaction to it. I'd never even heard of this movie before this episode, and so I was very surprised. I think we're gonna go ahead and watch Thundercrack in the Discord. I know. I
said everybody a little bit of a warning. I
did. I told them that this is gonna be a tricky one. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. And most people were like, "Hey, man, just put a content warning out there." I guess so. That's the strategy.
It is unsimulated sex, everybody. Just so you're aware,
and it's long.
It is quite a long movie.
Holy shit, man! Once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. So much value. And being that this is right in the middle of our Pride series for 2026, it's worth a mention that we've got Bring Me the Axe Pride T-shirts.
We do indeed,
and they're cool as hell, man. I've some of the listeners have sent me pictures of them with their Bring Me the Axe Pride shirts. It's cool. The print is fucking rad. It's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, all the proceeds from that go to Queer Nation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a organization that I hold near and dear to me, though they are kind of a shadow of their former selves.
Yeah, get the links for the Patreon and that campaign that we got going on for the Pride shirts in the show notes. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Search us by name and subscribe if you can prefer to consume your podcast that way. And be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So do it. I don't know what you're waiting for.
Just come on.
It makes me feel so good when I see that number go up, and I go crazy whenever I see a nice little written review. But don't feel
if you
obligated.
Guys aren't willing to, if you're not going to help us out, I'm going to have to start doing right-wing outrage episodes on the side.
Look what you've done to him, people.
Yeah. I didn't want it to come to this, but I'm going to be the next Candace Owens.
Oh, no. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor, give the episode a like and leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. Just want to get that all out of the way right at the top of the show. Because, hey, Dave.
Yeah.
This guy looks familiar.
He's not a guest. He's a gentleman. He is also a writer, a horror journalist. He's the editor of the fantastic new zine collection, Physical Media Booklet, which, get that at his website.
Yeah, you don't say.
It's Sean Abley. Hey, welcome to our podcast, Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Bonjour.
Oh,
Sean.
no.
Rave diatraici, joyeux de fierté.
Okay, you've already.
What have you done? Listen, you guys are ganging up on me already. I don't care for this.
That
Listen.
is sort of. Hello, my name is Sean Abbey. Happy Pride Month. That's more like Happy Homosexual Month.
Look, I would prefer we call it Homosexual Month.
I will say I have a little Canadian experience. I've been there, obviously, many times, but I grew up in Montana, and because we shared a border with Canada, we would get a lot of Canadian change, like coins, when I was a kid in Montana. No, just like less than that, like quarters, nickels, dimes, and pennies. But because the American dollar was so strong, that meant they were worth less than a quarter, but they weighed the same amount. So they would work in like soda machines and things like that back when you would use change. So all over Montana, signs, no Canadian coins, no Canadian coins.
How are they going to stop you?
Yeah, I know. Right.
I used to work for, we grew up near a beach. And so, and we're a few hours from Montreal, and so people from Quebec would come down to here, and they would vacation on this shithole beach, but for some reason, we would end up with like tons and tons of like Canadian change. Also, they were always trying to haggle with me.
Yeah, barter. The Quebecois. I'm going to make a huge generalization. They apparently like to haggle and barter.
Huh. Interesting. I arranged a birthday trip for my husband to Montreal, and having never been before, and not realizing that it is the law that you lead with French. So every restaurant, every sign, every menu, every time anytime we had to read anything, French was in front of our eyeballs, and you had to ask for the English menu. And of course, waiters were
Indignant.
so nice about it, so welcoming about it.
I
Yeah,
like
it
that
was
everything is in
interesting.
French and French and English here. Like everything.
Right. So people. I
You,
mean,
you,
every time
you feel
you're
cultured. You feel fancy because there's French
I
all
don't know. I
around
just
you.
think it's nice that they're accommodating people. It's nice. I like to see others being accommodated.
accommodating, sure. I feel like that's exactly the point of French in Montreal.
Look,
Is accommodation.
that is the government was willing to go that far, and they were like, push any harder, and we will kill every single one of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
BT Dubs, get ready for your mentions to be murdered because we are absolutely destroying any sort of history or anything about Montreal.
100%.
So you're going to get schooled. Yeah.
I welcome it.
All right. Well, we got a trailer to go through. Let's give them a taste here of what we're going to be talking about here. Here we go. Actually, I feel like I need to read this because there's a lot of text on the screen.
There's a lot here in this screen.
I don't
And it
usually do
definitely
this.
it sets up every issue about this film.
So here it
which
is.
I
Here it is.
do enjoy.
So right up top, you get this music. We get a red title card and a lot of words. Here we go. We believe Making Love breaks new ground in its sensitive portrayal of a young woman executive who learns that her husband is experiencing a crisis about his sexual identity.
That's right. She's the victim. Go ahead.
Making Love deals openly and candidly with a delicate issue. It is not sexually explicit, but it may be too strong for some people. Making Love is bold but gentle. We are proud of its honesty. We applaud its courage.
That is the gayest statement I've ever read.
Right. Also, as if this movie's a living being. Like this, right?
You're not
Beautiful,
prepared.
sensitive film.
You're not prepared for making love.
I feel like they had to put this there, though, because I am willing to bet a bunch of people were like, yeah, let's go watch the hot gay sex movie. And they were like, it's not sexually explicit. Stop it.
Yeah. But for gay guys, I mean, I think 13 or 14 when this movie came out. It might as well have been a porno. We'll get to those scenes, but it is carved into the back of my skull. Some of the scenes in this film.
All right, here's the rest of it.
To him, she was the most beautiful woman in the world. Witty, loving, warm. To her, he was a friend she could always turn to.
Just great roommates. Best friends.
A man as compassionate as he was strong.
Wait, don't tell me. He's not at home, not back from lunch yet, and not at the clinic. Third time this week.
But there was a need in him he could no longer keep unexplored.
I don't know what to do. You gotta tell me, are you in trouble? Is there another woman?
Tell me about your mysteries, my friend. How much longer are you gonna wait?
We're gonna cut this out and we're gonna talk. I can handle it no matter what it is. But I cannot handle the silence.
So, why don't you stay the night?
I'm in love with Claire. I don't know what kind of a life I could have without her. I mean, I love her. I don't want to be without her.
Zach's the only man I've ever been with. It's the only man I've ever wanted to be with.
Then damn it, girl, what are you sitting here for?
Making Love, a love story for the 80s. Starring Michael Ontkean, Kate Jackson, and Harry Hamlin.
God, I think I know why this movie didn't do very well.
Oh, that's pain. The worst part about this movie is that trailer. Oh, God.
Man.
We should say up front, we need to say, I believe, I'm fairly certain that we touted this as a bisexual film, and
It's not.
misremembered this, I guess.
Yeah.
But that will come back up. But Sean, I chose this specifically because you have a special connection with this film.
Well, if you're talking about the article the essay I wrote for This is Cinematograph.
You feel very fondly about it.
I do. I think that, you and I were chit-chatting briefly before we got on here via text, and you were like, "This movie is better than I," and
Mhm.
I was part of the problem. Like for years, I like would shit talk this movie, and then I watched it again to write about it for this zine that comes out of the Vinegar Syndrome sublabel, Cinematograph. And I realized, no, this is actually really
Yeah,
good.
it's a good
It's a
movie.
really solid movie, especially in the wake of The Boys in the Band, which is
Mm.
garbage, like poisonous garbage that actually does harm to gay people. And this one, it has a great pedigree. I won't do my whole monologue about it yet because we got a whole movie to talk about. But yeah, it's not the movie that I think history would ask us to believe it was. It's a solid B plus movie, which means it's an A plus movie for when it was released. And yeah, I'm high atop the mountain of evangelizing for making love.
It's also a very complicated movie, I think, in the way it portrays this. I mean, obviously, the melodrama and the struggle is what they're selling, but it is complicated in the way that it puts this stuff forward.
Yeah.
And uncompromising, frankly. Like
I think so. I think
yes.
it's sort of they do sort of pull their punches at the end a little bit, which is kind of unnecessary.
We'll get there because that's kind of like the one sort of weak spot for me of the whole movie is the way that this movie very neatly wraps up.
Yeah.
An emotional moment that I guarantee for most guys who sort of have had this experience was messy and gross.
Yeah, they definitely have it. There's a sort of a blasé kind of hallmark approach to the dissolution of their marriage where they're both kind of like, well, what can you do?
Yeah.
It's been nice, friend.
Yeah, right. They part ways and don't see each other again for years. But the good thing is nobody is punished for being gay. Nobody is punished for being a degenerate. Like one of the characters ends up alone, but that's just because he ends up alone. Like it's not because a homosexual's life is a lonely one.
I would actually,
it's because he's not good at relationships.
I was going to say, I would actually argue that the Bart character is the most well-adjusted character of the bunch. Like he knows who he is. He knows what he wants, and he's totally cool with it.
He represents something that I think would not be as recognizable to younger queer people at this point, but he's not as well adjusted as one would think. He does still sort of have that internalized homophobia in a way that he does not see himself being able to have sort of quote normal life unquote kind of thing. Like he can't see himself as being anything but kind of bar hopping, cruising. Everything else is off limits and everything else is threatening. That's not unique to a gay man. That's sort of universal to a lot of people, I think. But I think he is one of the more interesting characters in this. I think Kate Jackson is the character who kind of gets the shaft a little bit. No pun intended, but
right, no shaft. But I would say
left out.
Yeah, but with Bart, I would also offer that, yes, those things are all true. But what we do see is that, like, crusty outer shell being sort of pried open a bit. Like, the end, yes, he literally walks into the sunset alone.
Yeah.
But his, the I would say, poor choice of the first-person testimonials throughout the film, because I don't really know why they're there. But through those, we at least get to learn that he did finally see a possibility for himself. In retrospect, it was just at the moment that Michael Onkeen was like 0 to 60, in 3.5 seconds, and he was like, "Whoa, hang on there."
We should get to the facts before we get too deep into the.
All right, so the year was 1982. So here were some other movies that were released in that year of our Lord. Inchon! Exclamation point. One of history's forgotten film disasters. Okay. It was about the Battle of Inchon during the Korean War, funded entirely by the Moonies.
Oh, that's not going to be good. And also, there's some criminal things happening there. Some creative bookkeeping, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was about Douglas MacArthur I can't remember who plays him. I've seen it. It's fucking long and ridiculous and stupid. It's not a good movie at all. Directed by Terrence Young, the James Bond guy. One of the hugest flops in the history of cinema. Unbelievable.
That sounds terrible.
We also had Grease too, though.
Oh, also not good. However,
careful what you say there. There are people who love
Disagree.
Grease too.
it's a terrible movie.
Disagree.
Maxwell
Like this guy.
Caulfield is the most beautiful man I have ever seen in that movie.
Yeah, he's gorge. He's super gorge. That movie has some great songs like "Let's Bowl Tonight" is super fun.
It does. It has Michelle
Reproduction is
Pfeiffer,
super
too,
fun.
and she's excellent.
Yeah, I mean they're all the weird thing is that they bring Didi Khan back, and
'Cause what
all
else
of
did she have
them.
That
going
girl
on?
needed a paycheck. That's all she had. Come on.
She was on Benson. She was on Benson.
That's true.
fine.
She was.
The problem is, everybody in Greece was 35 years old playing
Yeah.
teenagers already, and now Didi Khan comes back for the next movie and is literally like a grandmother,
like
getting her
47.
science credits. Yeah, exactly. I'll defend Grease too. It's fun. It's not
I'd
even fun
rather
trash.
watch
It's fun.
Grease 2 than Grease 1.
Huh. Okay.
Grease is a terrible movie.
Jesus, you were like launching bombs all
I know.
day.
I like
sorry,
Grease. I like Grease quite a bit.
Grease has a great message. If you smoke cigarettes and dress like a slut, you'll be more popular. The end.
That's true.
We go together. Like, that's it.
Also in 82, Death Wish 2 came out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Leading us down a real sleazy path. Is
Yeah,
that movie.
Yeah, that one. It's almost like they looked back on that one and they were like, "How do we make this even more ridiculous?" And then they got to Death Wish 3. But
Which one was the one where Deborah Raffin dies in a car sent rolling down?
That's
a
the
hill?
third one.
Was that 3 or 4?
She
I don't
dies
remember.
from a broken arm.
No. Marina Sirtis dies of a broken
Oh,
arm.
right. Yeah.
Like Deborah Raffin is like knocked out unconscious in a car and then like send it down a hill and it crashes
Yeah.
and
Yep.
explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In notoriously hilly New York City.
Yep. Should have set the parking brake.
Always,
Turn the wheels toward the curb.
Let's see. Also in 82, Amityville 2 came out.
Ooh.
That's
It's interesting. These two sequels you brought up both distilled the wrong thing from the previous movie. All three of the sequels, right? Like Death Wish 2, Grease 2, Amityville 2. They pulled out the big shiny objects and just gave us more of those and left behind like all the character stuff.
I'm sorry. Are you new to Hollywood? It's like you've never been there before.
I can fix her.
God, I love Amityville 2 so goddamn much. It's the subject of our very first episode.
It is indeed.
That was the one that I watched, and I was like, I really need to talk this one out with you. And then we just recorded it, and here we are, like 100 and something episodes later.
Nice.
Rounding out 1982, another like colossal flop, Megaforce.
Oh,
Megaforce rules. It's so bad.
It's
so
real bad.
It's so bad. Golden Harvest thought that this was like their main vector into Hollywood, into like American productions. This was going to be huge. They had a huge like Star Wars sized toy line for it, and then it just tanked super hard. It is the corniest, dumbest shit I've ever seen.
you know
Is that
what?
Barry
though?
Bostwick on a motorcycle?
Yep.
Is that movie?
Yep.
Yep.
Michael Beck's also in it. It was pretty much the movie that he did that right after Xanadu, and it kind of closed the doors on his career.
And then he was angry for the next 40 fucking years.
A friend of mine that I used to work with, Michael Beck was his uncle, and that was how he described him. Was kind of a jerk, very angry guy.
Hey man, you were in the Warriors. That should be enough.
You could co-star, you could eat out on that all for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Well, I love Xanadu, so I'm not going to kick Michael Beck.
I've said that we're going to do Xanadu next year. We're also going to do Megaforce next year.
That's one of my husband's favorite movies, and the first gift I ever got him 20 plus years ago was a Japanese version of the Xanadu poster. And he got me a 6-foot French language tourist trap poster, which was the subject of our very first conversation.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
We're
cool.
a cinema family.
So we got a cast of crew to discuss. Our director is a man named Arthur Hiller, who's had one hell of a career.
Interesting. Very interesting guy, Arthur Miller.
Like he's been all over the place with a couple of like bona fide smash hits.
He also made Nightwing, so there's that.
That's true.
Contend with.
Yep.
Nightwing is a really, really bad movie. Deeply offensive.
He came into Hollywood directing various productions for sponsored variety shows like the Ford Television Theater, Schlitz Playhouse, and the Westinghouse Krusty Lou Playhouse.
Back when TV was good.
I mean, Westinghouse Desilu. He also did a couple of episodes of Playhouse 90, which we have to thank for the Twilight Zone. He really grabs the public's attention in 1970 with a double whammy of features, The Out-of-Towners, which is based on Neil Simon's play, and the romantic tragedy sensation Love Story.
Ooh. And you can tell when he got this movie, they were like, make it like Love Story. And he was like, yeah, but that was like 10 years ago. And they're like, yeah, no, it'll be great. Don't worry about it. And he did. And that's why this movie feels like it's super old.
I was going to say, I feel like he really kind of rises to the occasion on this one. This is not nearly as overwrought and ridiculous as Love Story.
Aesthetically, this movie is very, very dated. Like these like talking head monologues that they do are bizarre, and they feel like they are from a previous decade.
I was going to say, I don't know why they felt the need to add them. They seem like they were like it's like screen test footage or audition footage, because it's just them doing the monologue. Harry Hamlin's hair is like crazy poofy.
Yeah, it is.
In the shots, it feels like it was something that they were like, the producers were like, it needs something, like go get.
They might have done insert stuff later just to be like pad the fucking runtime,
which is weird because it's almost 2 hours long. This movie does start to feel pretty fucking bloated after a little while, but yeah. So Hiller probably could have coasted on just that, but he also kicked out a couple of Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder movies, Silver Streak.
Some of the fucking best.
Yeah, and Hear No Evil, See No Evil, which is like I think my favorite of the bunch. Or
Silver Streak is my favorite.
Or Stir Crazy.
Silver Streak is my favorite.
Yeah.
I bet I would say Stir Crazy probably does not hold up to scrutiny today. I'm just going to go out.
I'm going to say most of them are
the
probably
jail movie.
pretty offensive.
Yep. But this movie he positioned as a sort of 80s answer to Love Story, which is why they say it's like a love story for the 80s in the trailer.
I think that is one misstep. The marketing of this movie was a fucking disaster, because
they split it 3 ways.
Yeah. It is like you didn't need to do that, because it is a solid movie on its own, if a little mundane.
So there's some sort of like producer behind the scenes stuff on this that I don't have a whole lot of notes or. This is not a very well documented movie, but I think that a lot of the marketing struggles that they faced had a lot to do with the guy who owned 20th Century Fox at the time, who had zero.
Who was that?
The Texas oil guy from The Simpsons.
So it's the guy who took over. The guy who took over from Alan Ladd Jr. once they forced him out.
His name was Martin Davis.
Yeah, the guy they forced Alan Ladd Jr. out, and this is the dude who took over.
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little ways down, but I think that like that guy's attitude towards this movie ultimately is what kind of fucks it over.
No.
Homophobia. Yeah, but I also want to bring up, we don't usually talk about the writers, but because this is Pride and the sort of primary creative thrust behind this movie was the writers Barry Sandler and Scott Berg, who were in a relationship at the time. They offered up this movie as a sort of antidote to typical portrayals of gay characters in movies. They intended this to specifically hijack the narrative and offer a positive portrayal. Berg got his idea after speaking to his old college friends, who, according to him, were casting off the old heterosexual disguise and were trying to live outwardly gay, pursuing relationships with other men instead of hiding their sexuality behind the heterosexual marriage and family.
Well, I'm going to jump in because I think this is their motive for writing this is obviously important, but the timing of this movie is perfect. Perfect, I think, in terms of getting it made, because we are, by 1980, the gay rights movement has really made some huge strides, kind of against all odds. A lot of it, we start to get into, by 1980, late 70s into early 80s, we start to get into this tension between good gays and bad gays. And bad gays is what you see in Cruising. Good gays is what you see in this movie.
Yeah.
The truth is, they're both gay. They are two sides of a many sided coin. They're all equal, but this comes right before the AIDS crisis, literally right.
I was going to
before
say
it.
82 is the first time we start to hear about GRID, right?
So the bomb is about to drop, and there is some people are journalists in particular are starting to pay a little bit more attention and take seriously the issue of not just gay people but gay relationships. And I am using the term gay specifically because that's really how they would have seen it. It's how they would have talked about it. There wouldn't have been this sort of spectrum. It would have been gays and lesbians. Maybe some recognition of bisexuality, but probably not.
Never.
So it would have been like they were starting to take this seriously as though like, hey, why don't we have a serious adult conversation about this? Because it is a thing that is now out there. It is part of the public discourse. And the time was so right for this movie. If they had made this 6 months later, absolutely not. It would have gone horribly.
Yeah.
If they had made this a couple years earlier, same thing. That's why you get Cruising instead of this.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. And one of the things that Barry Sandler has said about his, wanting to make this is that he was already out publicly, like among friends, but he said that in order to sort of access what was happening in the movie, he really had to like kind of reckon with it on a bigger scale. And so he had to come out professionally in order to kind of get that authenticity in the movie. And
was it him who he did so in an interview with The Advocate?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading a New York Times article with him, interview with him, but I think it was around a little bit after that. And I think that is a big key to obviously the fact that it's written by gay men is very important, but it's in the authenticity of this movie is pretty remarkable because this feels pretty real. And I will tell you, I will be very transparent. I have been in a relationship like this and it was a fucking nightmare. It was way worse than it was portrayed in this, but that's probably because of the other person.
So you guys didn't just kind of like come to the end of the road and be like,
I walked away because I was like, I can't do this with you anymore. I am constantly sad and upset all the time.
I think it's important to remember, I mentioned this at the top, that the biggest sort of gay cinema thing that had happened before this was The Boys in the Band. And
you have very strong feelings about that.
I do. And it already, it'd been a big hit as a play and then was a hit enough as a movie. It was it was sort of like I Am Curious Yellow. It was like the thing that people would see and talk about. And it was a cachet to like have seen it and talk about it at parties more than it was
like
actually
going
like
to
a big
see
financial
Deep Throat
hit.
In the theater.
Right.
Something you did for sort of social cachet.
Right. But, Mark Crowley, who wrote that, it was the movie and the play were heralded as like, oh, we're seeing ourselves on screen for the first time.
If you are one particular kind of person,
right. Exactly. Like they filled the screen with like 7-8 people that were just absolutely terrible. This is like an antidote to that, right? Mm-hmm. And I can't think that the screenwriters weren't thinking along those lines back then. Like this is our chance, right?
They probably had Cruising in mind. That was probably a big part of it because that had just come out.
Which is unfortunate.
I was I've seen quotes from the both of them who had sort of mentioned that in the context of this, never saying like explicitly like we saw Cruising and we're like, what the fuck, you guys? But it does seem to sort of loom heavily over the creation of this. But I think the production.
Arthur Hiller said it explicitly. He said, quote, the last thing we wanted was another Cruising. We didn't want you to be able to feel superior to these people. We wanted you to care for them, to care about them. I would like to point out, you should also have felt that way about the characters in Cruising, but that's neither here nor there.
They're freaks.
It's absolutely criminal that to have any sort of like authentic voice as a gay person in Hollywood at the time, you either had to write Boys in the Band, which was confirming every stereotype that people had about gay people and making it okay for them to like it because a gay person was saying, no, we really are like this.
Yeah, listener, if you're not familiar with Boys in the Band, the word faggy should suffice.
Sure. Bitter, terrible, I don't know. And then Cruising, which is actually 100% accurate. I mean, except for the murder, but the murder did happen.
I
But as far
would
as like
challenge a little bit there. I think that it is more or less accurate. It is framed in a very menacing way. It's framed so as to be menacing. Even
have
the
you
club
seen it again
scenes.
lately? Have you
Oh
seen
yeah,
it?
we did it. We did it last year.
Okay. Oh wait, was I on that? No, I wasn't. I
Yeah,
was.
you were supposed to be.
That's right. Was I?
Actually, no. We were supposed to get Jeff Nelson for that one.
Yeah, Jeff was going to do it.
Because I think that's too easy. I think that's too easy of a critique. Because if you see those bar scenes, people are joyful. The gay people are joyful in that movie. Like what it is somebody looking at it from the outside that's afraid of it.
Yes.
But they're not portrayed as a scary species of people. It is people's misunderstanding of them that's the villain in that movie. And
I'm mostly there with you.
So, well, how can I get you there? I'm edging you.
I think
Anyway.
that to me, my familiarity with the leather scene and with the bar scenes, it just doesn't. It leaves things out, and it does so intentionally. And I think you're right. It's mostly because this is a straight person's view of this world, and it is presented in that way for a particular purpose. But we're also getting off track. That's a different movie.
Well, yeah. So to bring it back to what I was trying to say is that that making love being in response to cruising is. I just feel for those screenwriters because, I was alive then. I remember the time, and that they knew that cruising was accurate. Like if they were forced to say that it wasn't accurate, or if they were forced to say that this was in response to it, then they were lying, because that was not a hastily put together film. It was a well-researched film that just sort of was the wrong film at that time, but it wasn't untrue.
Let me offer perhaps an alternative perspective from their position. I'm speculating here. Maybe not so much that they're lying, but that the world they came from viewed cruising in the same way that Friedkin viewed cruising, or that straight people viewed cruising.
There's the idea that I actually get from watching this, particularly the scenes in the bars, is almost like they watched cruising and were like, the bars we go to don't look like that.
Yeah, I would imagine that maybe it's more of that. It's more like, we're not that kind of gay. Like they recognize that that's true.
Because the bars in this one are just bars. They're hopping. There's a lot of music, it's a lot of thing, but it's not like the Anvil or the Eagle in
Right, but all those bars existed.
Oh sure,
like they didn't make up a leather bar for cruising.
Right.
Like
no, that's not what I mean.
Like the leather scene was very present at the time.
What I think what I mean is that maybe it's possible that the Barry Sandler and the other guy maybe looked down on that part of the community and saw it as something unsavory,
right?
Which
again is terrible that they were
right.
They
but
were
I think so.
Percolated in an atmosphere where they would come to it from that angle,
and that was very, very common. Like that was just it was sort of stratified in that way, and that I think that's I don't know that that's the case for them, but it does sort of seem like no, we're just like heterosexual people. If you look at it this way, and it's like, well, that is sort of true, but also that part exists too. Like it's this ignoring this other.
That
side.
goes back to our episode about Ganja and Hess, because it's very similar in its relation to sort of to blackness in that one,
right? And that's the argument of the good gays and the bad gays, is that the good gays were the ones who got involved in politics, and they were really pushing for assimilation in a lot of ways. They just wanted, like, we're just like everybody else. And it's like, well, actually, we're not. If we were just like everybody else, there wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
And so but really they wanted to ignore that part.
I was saying, because this movie's vibe, it's a little early for it, but this movie's vibe is sort of pushing up against inching toward what becomes known in the 80s as yuppie.
Yeah.
you know? And so it's
they also had to kind of rein it in to get the fucking movie made too.
Sure. Right. Also, I don't blame them for what we now call heteronormativity.
Yeah.
Like that, that was certainly my aspiration as a young gay person. Like,
I think a lot of
wanted
people
it all. So in retrospect, people I think that's one of the disses of this movie. But I think at the time.
Oh, I have a little bit about that so actually I'll just tell you now, because I was sort of flipping through, like reading some papers, and I came across an article in the Boston Globe about how the local Boston gays were very kind of meh on this movie. Now, I know a lot of them. And so here's a quote from Michael Bronski, a man that I know fairly well. And he said, "I didn't like it very much. It's not much more than soap opera. The acting was all right, given there was so little to work with. Kate Jackson was pretty good. Reminded me of a younger Lee Remick." I like that. I thought of one of those ladies' matinee weepers, but it's not as good as Lana Turner. It's updated sentimentality, middle brow, and lacks sophistication. I love this because it is so gay.
Right.
But yeah, the consensus with a lot of them, and these are the people that I know.
Yeah,
I feel like those were like they were the ones that were like, I don't think so.
I think everybody gets to have their opinion. I'm not going to say their opinion is wrong, but it sounds like that person's just trying to score points, which is different than actual critique.
But I'm talking about this as it would have been perceived when it came out, not now. I think now we have a very different view of it. Obviously,
right.
we all think it's
I was
good.
there when it came. I was there when it came.
You were 14 when it came out.
So I was a gay 14-year-old, and
but
I
can understand
it was
why
very
they
exciting
felt this way.
because there was because it was like there we were, like truly now we were on screen, right? Like it. So I don't know. I just don't take the like. I don't know. I just don't believe it. I mean, it was like a one thing in like a vacuum, and for the gays to truly be like, ugh.
I think
at the time,
for people like Michael Bronski and a lot of the like activists at the time and sort of the gay journalists at the time, this would have felt very kind of schlocky and very hokey if you were a part of that. They were all in their mid to late 20s by then, probably.
So experienced.
And but they were the ones sort of like, why don't we can just disregard their experience.
I'm not disregarding their experience, but
what I mean is
if
that
I had to be held by my opinions at 22, like today, come on.
But it would be like if you were involved in the punk scene back in the 80s, and then all of a sudden you see Green Day and everyone's like, this great punk band, you probably a lot of them would have been like, really? And that's probably how they looked at it, is like they were living this sort of edgy life. They were out. They were very politically active, especially Michael.
The subjects of a Nan Golden photo.
Yeah, very much so, actually. A lot of them would have been in those pictures. And so I get it. I see where they're coming from. I think that's why this movie holds up so much better now, because you can look at it and say, this was actually a very real, kind of authentic portrayal of like, just normal life. There was no agenda. There's no political agenda here. It's just sort of, but I also think that's probably why the movie didn't do so well, because when people, with straight people in particular, went to see this, they were probably like, ooh, salacious. Let's go see the gay movie. And they got there and they're like, what the fuck is this? These dudes aren't fucking. Nobody's even slapping each other. And no one has snatched a wig. Right. And so they were probably like, there was probably a lot of people that were like, this is boring. It's like, yeah, because most people's relationships are just fucking boring.
And it was marketed toward women, and women, if they had gay friends, their friends were all the snaps up queens. And so they weren't seeing that in that movie, but what they were seeing was those snaps up queens taking their husband. And so, yeah.
So we got a cast. Michael on Keen.
Cutie pie.
Sheriff Harry S. Truman from Twin Peaks. Also an alumni of the University of New Hampshire, where he apparently kicked ass at hockey.
Okay, well, he's in Slapshot.
He's a Canadian man. Yeah. Yep. Speaking of hockey, among his many roles, you might remember him from such hockey films as Slapshot, where he played the old-time hockey player Ned Braden. God, I love that movie. It's a good movie. The role was initially offered to guys like Harrison Ford and Richard Gere, also Michael Douglas, the latter of whom came quite close to booking the part, but backed out on advice from basically everybody in his life. In the years leading up to the release of The Celluloid Closet in 1995, Onkeen declined to be interviewed about the movie and actively campaigned to block footage from the movie being used in the documentary. It's not well. Hang on, because it's not entirely clear why. Because in the days since that movie came out, I've seen like a part of my research for this were interviews with him in like 2002, talking very positively about this movie. So, I don't know.
They did a screening here in Los Angeles of it within the last decade, and Harry was there, and Michael pointedly was not. But also, Michael stopped. He retired to Montana, like homestead, and didn't do Twin Peaks, The Return, so. Maybe that's not as much of a statement as it seemed to be at the time.
Harry Hamlin's he's still very proud of this movie. He also thinks that it ruined his career. He might be right.
Well, hang on. We'll talk about that because he had a little bit of working against him in that department that had nothing to do with this movie. But first, let's talk about Kate Jackson.
I fucking love Kate Jackson.
She's wonderful. She's fucking wonderful. She's great.
TV movie queen.
Who would have seen it coming? What a Charlie's Angels. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And she's good. She's so good in this.
She's very good. She's I was not expecting it.
Yeah. She has to carry some not great moments in this movie. Yeah. I actually think that, we've established we all enjoy this movie to a certain extent. My one big disappointment is the reveal scene. The second half of the reveal scene where she is just burdened with some really terrible dialogue and she makes it happen. And she's the audience advocate for the entire film. Like we're seeing it through her eyes. And
she's not sympathetic either, in a way that she should be.
Right.
To a certain extent.
I think she's actually a really great actress. I think the work she's doing in this is subtle. I mentioned it in my article, like the moment where she says, "Tell me, I can take anything." And she's just so open in that moment. And as an audience member, that she's about to get hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And, and the way she plays it, she doesn't telegraph that that's happening. And then when it does land, it's so devastating. And rightfully so, right?
They make her seem a little hysterical.
Yeah.
I think they write her in this very, in that moment, not throughout the movie, but in that moment, she's sort of given this kind of melodramatic, hysterical treatment where she's just like, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. No, of course not. Everything's fine. It's like, this is not how a woman in 1982 would have been.
She is, the thing is, the way that the movie is written is, the primary subjects are Zach and Bart. She is secondary at best, which is, I think, really kind of, is doing her no favors, but she's still fantastic in this. Like, this is,
Well, and she's also a female, if you look at the movie, she's a female character written by men in the 80s. So, yes, she's a TV executive who can't get anything on television.
And she wants to have a baby.
She wants to have a baby, and she wants to save her marriage. She has to quit her job.
Yeah.
And again, Kate Jackson makes that palatable for us, like selling us that misogyny at the time. She's to me, she's the protagonist of the movie, even though we're watching these two men, and I think we're rooting for them on a certain level. She's the one who has the quote unquote hero's journey of like getting over this stuff, and she's one of the last people we see in the film. Yeah, I don't know. Even though I wouldn't say that they thought that of her, I think in retrospect, if we look at it, she's the person who's got the adversarial relationship with the other characters.
Yeah, I would have preferred, instead of that sort of like real Hollywood epilogue that we get, I would have rather had more of her kind of reckoning and wrestling with her part of all of this. Instead, they sort of make her just sort of be like, she's a little bit of she's being a little unreasonable because she has feelings about it, but also she's hysterical. Like, it's hard. It's as though the movie can't recognize that she would also have legitimate, valid feelings about all of this, even though she's not the one ultimately kind of struggling with this, she is going to struggle with this in a different kind of way. And it can't see that she would be in that position. And so instead they just sort of be like, well, and then she's done.
Yeah.
Right. Well, any woman who's gone through this, and I'm always sympathetic to the wife, is that, the husband now has his big gay life in front of him. Like, he's finally gotten over this hurdle, and now once he walks out the door, he can like do what he's wanted to do forever. Her entire life has evaporated. Like, everything that they ever had together is now under question. The future she thought she had is now gone. And so we don't get to see that of her. Like, we don't, it's just, a time lapse, and now, he's
Don't
with
worry, it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, yeah.
I really would have liked to see that, because I think that's sort of what the movie is pitching to us, is this idea that's like, yes, here is this man going through this kind of unimaginable, like very, very difficult thing. And here's this other man who is sort of kind of being dragged along for the experience. Oh, and then there's this lady over here. And I guess maybe at the time, there really wasn't a lot of room for that. But it would have been nice to see, like, yeah, she also is losing a lot here. And it's a thing that happens, I think, that when, we have a tendency to forget that other people, when you're sort of like consumed by these big emotions, like if you're coming out, especially if you're an adult who's coming out in this scenario, you're so consumed by your situation and how hard it is for you and how difficult it's been and how long you've been dealing with it, that you forget that other people are going to have to deal with this as well, and they're going to have thoughts about it. And some of the time, those thoughts are going to be shitty and awful, and they have no place in the equation. But other times, they do belong there, and they do have a legitimate right to feel a particular way about a thing, and that you also have to listen to them. And maybe it's not going to be so easy, like, for them to articulate that. That's a thing that I think comes with time. But
but also
gets ignored completely here.
Maybe they could have restructured it a bit, but that moment lands at about an hour 20 in a 2-hour movie, and so there's not a whole lot of time to sort of resolve both ends.
Yeah. The other thing that she does, that this movie does do well, is she's a fun hang. Like, you understand why he later says, I love her. I still love her. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine her not in my life, because they have a great time together, right?
I think that's a big component of the movie, too. It reminds me a lot of the concept of compulsory heterosexuality. Shout out to a friend of the show, Hallie Kiefer, who also touts this one quite a lot. There is the idea, if people aren't familiar with the concept of compulsory heterosexuality, it's the idea that, like, heterosexuality is so ingrained in us as, culturally ingrained in us as people, that when we are in conflict with heterosexuality, it doesn't even occur to us that we could be different. It's almost just like, well, nah, ignore it, never mind. And so the fact that she checks all of the boxes for him, except one, he's very easily able to dismiss everything. He doesn't. So, because the idea, I think, maybe if a younger person were to watch this, they'd be like, this guy's like 35. Wouldn't he have figured this out by now? And the reality was, no, not necessarily. Not if your entire life you have been told you have to be this thing. And here's what you have to go and find. And here's what you need to want to be a normal person. She checks all these boxes. They're best friends. He loves her. He relies on her. They share this bond. He can tell her anything. They can work through everything. And that's why even when he tells her this, she's like, we'll make it work. And it's like, that was the reality. It's like, yeah, you might not have noticed it because everything else was falling into place for you. And I think that's a big part of this that is maybe a part of the story that maybe just doesn't hit as hard anymore. But, like, yeah, she would have seemed like the best wife, except it still never felt right. Mm-hmm. And that was sort of the problem. And, like, the idea, like, they are best friends. That like, and I had not a lot, but a couple times in my life when I was younger, there were times when I was just like, what? Could I make this work with this woman? And, even after I came out, I went through things like that. And the reality was like, of course not. That's a terrible thing to do to either one of you. But It's because you love this person in every other way. And that's sort of what he's dealing with. And that's why he doesn't notice it. And that's why for her, she's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We, lots of people have unsatisfying lives. And it's like, dear God,
Yeah.
lady.
Also, her casting is very canny. If Laura's correct, this was like a consolation prize to her because she didn't get Kramer versus Kramer, and I'm unsure of all the behind the scenes on that. But
I kept seeing that in all the research that I did. Like that was the one that kept coming up. Is she was like, holy shit, I almost had an award, like an Oscar-winning movie. Like, what the hell? And then she was like, fuck Charlie's Angels. You got 3 good seasons out of me. I'm going to do this thing. And then she ends up in this. And unfortunately, the movie just gets completely overlooked. But she's one of the strongest parts of the whole movie.
Well, and she also was kind of branded like the TV movie queen, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
She is fantastic.
But the canny thing about her casting, also, whatever she would have done in Kramer versus Kramer was not as meaty as this.
I
like
fucking
Kramer,
hate that movie.
It's dumb. But she was in all of our living rooms, and she was in all of our living rooms as like the best friend type, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like on Charlie's Angels, like Farrah was like the sex pot, but she was like the reliable best friend. And
Yeah, she's the smart girl. She's the sexy smart girl.
right, capable. Like, so I feel like this was a really great film role for her, and whether or not they were thinking that through, I think it really lands.
She was also in Dark Shadows.
She was.
Yes, she was a ghost. She was a ghost.
No, she was the last season. She was the guy. What is his name? He was sort of really creepy on the show. She's
But
in the
didn't
last
she
season.
become a ghost? I
Oh,
feel
she
like
might
was a
have.
ghost.
Like they become there's a whole plot with Levi. It doesn't matter. It gets ridiculous. I mean, it was ridiculous to begin with. Then it gets even more ridiculous at the end.
Right.
So let's talk about the last of the cast. We got Harry Hamlin, fresh off of the smash hit Clash of the Titans. Movie fantastic enough to go toe-to-toe with Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was released the same weekend. From the sound of things, they had him pegged from the start for the role of Bart. It makes sense. He is magnetic and charming as hell in this role.
And handsome.
So pretty.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So pretty.
He's got like a kind of like a young Bill Paxton thing going on.
With poofy hair.
Yeah, the poofiness of his hair kind of dials it back.
But that's
a little.
only in the first-person testimonials. His hair is like
Weirdly,
normal
yeah.
in the rest of the movie.
Yep. However, following Making Love, Hamlin's career slowed, and it's easy to suppose that the subject matter of this movie had something to do with it. But evidenced by the way that everybody's career progressed after this movie was released, that is objectively false. Hamlin's career slowed thanks to a number of movies that either performed badly or were poorly received by critics. He found new direction and momentum in 1986 with the start of the long-running primetime drama L.A. Law. And in 1987, he was featured on the cover of People magazine as the sexiest man alive.
All right.
No one deserved it
Get
more
it.
in 1987.
Wow, just so pretty. I think, though, I mean, I'm going to take him at his word about the career because even though, yes, he was on LA Law and like Star Turn, it brought him back into our living rooms and sort of brushed off the stench of Making Love. He's always said he didn't make any studio movies for the next 20 years.
I
so
think
his
that's what he
career
meant.
aspirations were different. And
Yeah, I
at
think-
the time, TV was not looked upon as like, a good, that was a consolation prize.
Yeah, you were either a
at the time.
TV star or a film star. Never the twain shall meet.
Right. Kate Jackson was headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
He was headed in the wrong direction as far as Hollywood was concerned back then.
I think he meant his like feature film career, but he said he doesn't regret it. He does in the thing I was reading. He takes I think he takes a dig at David Soul because he says I was looking for something serious and something meaningful rather than doing a movie about vampire bats invading a small town.
Don't be like that. Don't be like that.
Which
Harry
is
Hamlin.
the type of fare I was being offered at the time. It was way ahead of its time, and I agree, it is. But I can see why this might have affected him that way.
Yeah.
Also, unlike his co-star, he enthusiastically participated in the production of The Celluloid Closet.
Well, good.
And he goes for it. I mean, when we get to the scene, like, to both of their credit, it doesn't feel like, and the director, it doesn't feel like anybody was hesitating on set. Like,
let's save that.
They
for
lived
that,
up
for
to
that,
the material
for that moment, because that is a moment that I actually found quite remarkable.
Well, and I think that speaks to the authenticity of this. Like, if you think about a movie like Cruising, which, for the public, the wider theater going audiences, that would have been kind of their only experience, at least the most recent. And there is a sort of reticence, at least in Al Pacino in that movie, where you're just sort of like, you can tell Al Pacino's not that comfortable with all of this.
Right.
Neither of these men ever comes across as though like they're like, ew.
Yeah. So put a pin in that. Because there's taglines.
Pin put in.
There's the fucking longest tagline ever written.
But first, there's this one. A provocative tale of hidden desire.
You make it sound a little bit dangerous.
Isn't it not? Is it not
in
dangerous?
in a world of provocative desire?
Yeah.
If you've seen the posters, they're all text.
It is
There's a tiny
tagline.
picture of them, and it's just a giant text.
Yeah,
It's like that the original poster for the Poltergeist, where it was like, "Come on."
I know. No, that one is actually from I believe the videotape release where the poster art is all three of them, but from the shoulders up, but they appear to be naked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't have I don't know if this has a Blu-ray release. So if it does, it's long out of print.
It doesn't, because I remember when I wrote the article for This is Cinematograph, that the Cinematograph label, the brief was pick a movie that we haven't released. And
Well, that's not that hard. They've released 23 movies.
right.
Gone with the Wind.
Yep. And then there's this
All
one.
right.
Don't pick that one.
After 8 years of marriage, Claire had everything: a loving husband and an exciting career. Suddenly, Claire's whole world is threatened when she learns that her husband is involved in a love affair, but not with another woman. Making Love is the sensitive story of a courageous husband and wife who deal honestly with their problem.
Jesus, I'm exhausted.
Wow, the husband gets mentioned. That's actually good.
There's more to love than making love. All caps.
Can I bring up the sex thing real quickly? What I also appreciate about this movie is they're still having sex, and they don't have a scene where he can't get it up for her.
It's
he just
implied, though, right?
He just doesn't want to have sex with her. That's the problem. Is like
Okay.
their sex life has waned, but he can still have sex with her. And in fact, there's like when he sees Bart for the first time, he runs home and has sex with his wife real quick, I guess to prove to himself that he can still do it. But yeah, there isn't a moment where it's like, that's okay, honey. It'll be different next time.
There's like 30 minutes of this movie that is basically like him flirting with his true sexuality, and then like fleeing back to her, and then it's just like the aftermath of them like fireside on the floor, but him looking like haunted.
Yeah.
Sandler and Berg.
I get it.
Sandler and Berg took this 20th Century Fox fully expecting it to be turned down. They were writing this in the days leading up to the 1980 election, where the Reagan Revolution ushered in sweeping takeovers by conservative ideology. However, the head of development for 20th Century Fox and the head of the entire studio were women, Claire Townsend and Sherry Lansing at the time, who enthusiastically,
not for long, they weren't going to be.
enthusiastically welcomed the project and developed it as one of 1981's big summer releases. Upon the movie's
ladies, come on.
Well, no, I think that because Arthur Hiller and Love Story were so because I think it is easy to forget that Love Story was a fucking sensation.
I mean,
And
it's
that by
not a
1980,
bad
people
movie.
were
It's just
still
a cheesy movie.
People were still remembering it. It was like the ultimate goddamn date movie. So like he had a lot of cachet in that. I think they were really sort of pushing for it in that direction. Summer hadn't fully been taken over by like Star Wars yet, so
These are weird misfires from the studio, though. It's just like this film, the aesthetic of this movie feels way too old. Like it feels very mid-70s.
It's definitely like that thing that we've talked about in episodes past where like we are in the 80s, but we're not in the 80s
Not
yet.
quite yet.
And where this still does definitely feel like the
It's
late
an
70s.
important movie.
Well,
yeah, but I think that's where their enthusiasm stemmed from, is they were like, oh, this is gonna make waves.
But like to be like, I've got a great idea, everybody. A movie about two gay dudes. You think in 1982 that's going to be a big hit?
I have no idea, man, but like they saw something there. But hey, Upon the movie's release, studio owner and oil billionaire Martin Davis, who had no background in film, he simply...
I'm picturing him like the guy, the colonel in Simpsons, with the hat, the white hat, and the white suit with the guns.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing.
Do you know he has a name?
No.
His name is Richard Texan.
Okay, that's who I'm picturing.
But yeah,
in this
like
role.
when I read about it, I was like, oh, it's definitely the oil tycoon from The Simpsons. He just bought 20th Century Fox to like fucking park his money somewhere. He issued a statement that said, I believe it to be a very fine motion picture, and I admire its boldness. It is well acted, beautifully directed, and it is my hope that we will receive a favorable public response. I congratulate
and also yuck.
Hang on, because there's also a backhand to this.
Is there a PS coming?
I congratulate the producers for taking a controversial subject and bringing it to the screen in an honest and sensitive manner. Now, when the movie's producer, Daniel Melnick, screened it for him...
I don't want to sound racist, but...
he was visibly uncomfortable during the screening. At the scene in the film when the two men kiss, he jumped up and said, "You made a goddamn faggot movie," and stormed out.
Wow.
This was supposed to be...
This is when the studios were bought up by all the kind of corporations, the corporate interests, and the like big mega conglomerations, and none of these people knew anything about movies, and so they were just put in these weird positions where it's like you have a bunch of finance bros who are all of a sudden producers on movies, and they were like, "Well, can we get more boobs?"
Yeah,
like that was sort of
right. Wasn't this at the time where like Coca-Cola owned like Columbia or something? Right?
Gulf and Western owned Paramount.
Yep. This is when they all start buying them up at the end of the 70s, I think around like 78, 79, and into the 80s. That's why we start to get real the sort of new American cinema movement comes to an abrupt end.
Yeah. So yeah, this was supposed to be a summer release for 1981, but Martin Davis, who I imagine, like I said, looks like the oil tycoon guy from The Simpsons, had it pushed back to February of 1982, along with January and March are known as the dump months. So there you go.
I thought we were done talking about cruising.
Hey. How'd the press react to this movie?
Very interestingly.
That's not what I was expecting.
No, that's not what I was expecting either. Let me hit you with it.
All right.
Bruce McCabe, the Boston Globe.
Ah, the old gray lady.
Oh, you've heard of her. Arthur Hiller's Making Love puts a perhaps inevitable gloss on its unconventional theme, but it remains quite likable and appealing. Although it deals with the kind of emotions with which some people are less than comfortable, the film's relaxed demeanor facilitates its treatment of its provocative subject. It's one of the most stylish soap operas I've ever seen on a theatrical screen. It's an amazingly clinical way of slapping someone in the face.
Yeah. Soap opera is a description that keeps coming up in all the reading.
It's a yucky movie, but they do it quite tastefully if you like this kind of crap.
I forever push back against the soap opera thing.
It feels very soapy to me. There is a quality about the movie, and I think it's mostly just in its aesthetic, is that it feels a little TV movie to me.
But that's different than soap opera.
But I have a thought on this. Yeah. I have a thought on this that I think goes with the expectations that people had going into it. I think that they were either expecting love story.
I think they wanted love story.
Or they were expecting something more salacious. And they went in and they were like, well, this is just a melodrama about two dudes and maybe a wife. And I think they just didn't know what to do with it. And so they were like, this seems like something ladies would like. What else do ladies like? Oh, soap opera.
Okay.
It was a way of not treating it seriously. Because soap operas have never been treated seriously. And this, I think that was just a way of being like, this isn't a serious movie. And some of these critics came across almost offended that they had to even consider this film.
No shit. There was something that I actually was thinking about as I was kind of writing the outline for the episode was, in a lot of ways, like this does not on its surface seem like the kind of movie that we would cover ordinarily because there's nothing exploitative about it. It's not an exploitation movie. It's actually almost an anti-exploitation movie. and yet it still feels like relevant to our current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But I think that
right.
that is what everybody was kind of going for, is they were like, oh, we're going to see the gay movie, and they wanted exploitation. They wanted something to kind of get the heart racing. And again, no, it's a fucking Douglas Sirk movie.
If this movie is a soap opera movie, then Kramer versus Kramer is a soap opera movie.
I actually kind of agree with that.
This is a drama. It's a drama.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a drama. That's it. I don't even think it's a melodrama. It's just a drama.
I think it was a way of undermining everybody in the movie. I think it was a way of undermining the movie as a whole and dismissing them because they had sort of deigned to do something so, kind of so degrading, some kind of seedy.
Right.
And
That was. Yeah.
And that was their way of being like, oh, this soap opera trash. And it's like, well, why? Because they made a drama about gay people?
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
I read some of the reviews, and I would love to know the sexuality of some of these reviewers, because there are no harsher critics of gay things than gay people. Let's start there.
Most of these people are straight.
Right. But B, I think there's also, agenda-driven reviews. And so if these, so if you're, can you believe it?
Actually,
Huh?
Pinned in that one because there were several female critics, not that there were that many at the time anyway, but that were just as harsh. There is one very high praise that comes from an extremely unlikely place. So
Rex
I'm a
Reed.
big fan. No, I wish. I was hoping I would find one of like Rex Reed or Vincent Canby and be like, girl, come on. Don't be so mean. But here's Janet Maslin, and I like Janet Maslin. I think she was sharp. I think she was a good writer. She's pretty insightful. Here is hers. Making love is sure to delight some audiences, but it isn't for everybody. It isn't, for instance, for those who value seriousness, quality, or realism above sheer foolishness.
What?
At least where their soap operas are concerned.
Oh, see, there it is.
Nor is it for those who regard homosexuality and heterosexuality as essentially different persuasions. Love, as far as this movie is concerned, means never having to say ouch.
Oh.
The story sets such a high standard for painless romantic troubles that Ally McGraw's love story deathbed scene becomes angrily graphic by comparison.
Now,
Damn.
Right. This isn't a perfect movie, and it's not critic proof. It's not critique proof, but it came out at a time when there could be a consensus, whether or not it's spoken or unspoken or just sort of zeitgeist, to punish the gay thing, right? Yeah. Like we weren't so far into gay rights that we were, that it was looked on as brave. I don't want to disregard all the reviews, but I am so skeptical of the agendas
I think you're right.
of the reviewers at the time that I feel like we want to get in. We want to be on the books as saying that they're coloring outside the lines. No, thank you. And punishing them for this movie. Because
I think you are 100% right. I think that's
it's not hateable. It's not hateable.
No,
there are hateable movies.
How could you?
There.
I mean, if anything,
then allow me.
It's a little beige.
By all means. Sheila Benson,
oh,
Los
no.
Angeles Times.
No.
How could making love offend anyone? It is at such a distance from real life, real people, from hurts that would wound or any emotional depth whatever, that it is a no-risk movie-making personified. It seems to have slid off the pages of the women's magazines, ready for instant transference to television. It already is television at its most dreary, and it's hardly a surprise that it features a television star who has built a career where signifying rather than acting suffices.
Sheila.
So here's my thought. I think, Sean, you are right. I think the majority of this are people being like, how dare you expect me to take this seriously? And also, how dare this Charlie's Angel slut make me consider her an actual actress? there's a lot of this sort of resentment in like, this is silly. Why would you present this? You're acting like this is Love Story with beautiful Ally McGraw. And instead you're giving me this with two men kissing. How dare you?
Oh,
That is a vibe here.
I think I think that's the vibe that radiates off this, but I think the motivation is different. I think the motivation is pure 100% homophobia. I think it is.
That's what I mean. I think
Right,
that the
but
idea
it's
that they would think that
Right.
you would want me to think that this is just like a regular relationship.
Yeah. Because I
Like,
wouldn't
that
use the word
this is
silly.
valid.
I wouldn't use the word silly. I think they all think it's disgusting. Or even if they don't, they want to. There's this thing with criticism where film critics often believe they're theater critics. Theater critics are part of a living organism, which is a play which can change. Theater criticism is used to shape, work that's on the stage. A film is done. And so if you're a film critic, what you're trying to change is film as a whole, right? And so all these critics who've decided that this is not acceptable for film right now, and we're going to let them know it regardless of the quality of the film, right? So we're going to either diminish it by saying that it's not far enough, or that it's disgusting, or that, it's a women's picture. All of these different ways of coming at the same point, which is, this is not what film should be, and I'm going to tell you that, and I'm going to use the power that I have to make sure that you don't do it again. And they succeeded. They 1000% succeeded.
I would argue that they are trying to shape the audience and the audience's understanding of what film is and what film should be.
You don't think it's directed toward the studios? You think it's directed toward the consumer?
I think it's a backdoor way of getting to the studios. I know.
We haven't gone to that scene yet.
I think it's a sort of like a roundabout way of getting at the studios. So it's like, we have the power of influencing the audience. And if we tell the audience this is not legitimate filmmaking, and this is not respectable filmmaking,
that's
then
Siskel and
you
Ebert
will
all
never
the way.
make these. Well,
right.
I'm glad you bring them up. Allow me.
Because usually, but before you do, because usually, like, I love Sheila Benson reviews.
I'm a big fan of Sheila Benson. Not this time.
No, fuck that shit. I'm disappointed in you, Sheila.
Because yes, the overall sense here is that how dare you expect me to take homosexuality seriously and treat it as a legitimate expression that is on the same level with something like Love Story.
Right.
And also, I think they also find ways to take digs at the melodrama, at the actors, at everything. But here's Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times. Making love is limited primarily to the characters' sexual identities. There would be no movie if the husband were not homosexual. This film has nothing else to be about. Its characters, as written, aren't open to the surprises of real life because the movie is single-mindedly about the specific nature of their sexual dilemma. And this essentially is, what this review is a rephrasing, repackaging of all you people think about is sex and gay stuff. And it's like, well, yeah.
It's so dismissive.
It's our lives.
It's so extremely dismissive of the movie's entire fucking pivot.
Right. It's that
and that is someone being angry that I have to take seriously this movie that's just about gay people.
Yeah,
Why do I have to take them seriously? Now, alternatively, here is Gene Siskel. Making Love is not a perfect film, but it is far above the usual treatment of gays as leather freaks and suicidal narcissists. In sociological terms, the importance of the film may be that it truly equates homosexuality with heterosexuality. And more important in movie terms, it does this while telling a fascinating and well-acted story. Gene Siskel very much liked this movie.
Am I for the first time in the history of this podcast?
We are through the looking glass, everybody.
On the side of Gene Siskel?
Gene Siskel for president.
Couldn't be any worse, right? He comes across in this as seeming to understand what they're trying to do and saying, that's a valid story. And these people are telling this story very well. And it is worthy of our time.
Right. It's not because I agree with him. It's because but I agree with him because I feel like he's doing what the other critics that you've read didn't do, which he's actually analyzing the film.
Right.
He's analyzing the film, not the intention behind the film. He's
Yeah.
not analyzing, the audience of the film. He's not analyzing the genre. He's analyzing what was in front of him on the screen.
It
And
reminds me of the John Cheever thing, the list about how to be a critic. And I think number one on his list is, what are these people trying to do, and did they do it?
right.
Yeah. And usually he's kind of on the outs with that approach to that, at least as far as horror movie goes, because we always
He's real. Gene Siskel's real uppity.
when we run into him, it's in that context, and he just fucking hates horror movies, and he's not objective about them at all. But in this case, we're putting him up against some reviewers who in the past have objectively viewed a movie and like critiqued it by that criteria, and instead they're all just clutching their fucking pearls.
Which is why I think why I thought this would ultimately end, by the time we got down to recording it, I thought this will be a very interesting conversation, because it really does challenge our perception, not our, but like the universal hour, the royal hour.
The royal we.
In our perception of how gay people have been portrayed in the media broadly, in that, like, the critics hated the fact that they had to take this seriously. The audiences went in expecting something and were angry that they didn't get it. The idea that they would try to pass off this story about two men sort of struggling with a very difficult thing that is difficult, on any terms and at any time, and they would have to take that seriously. Everybody seems to resent that, and I think it's sort of fascinating that we forget that really was not that long ago.
I also, again, I hate to harp on these older movies. Boys in the Band, critically lauded, and audiences enjoyed it. Cruising, boo, gross, no. Making Love, terrible. It's like the movie that lived up to the expectations of people of what gay people were is the one that sort of got a pass at the time. Whereas the two movies, we can argue about the veracity of Cruising, but the two movies that attempted to truly portray gay people, aspects of gay people's lives in a realistic way, as real as it could be in a film, both, reviled. I think that says a lot about what was happening at the time. But I also
100%.
think it also, like, whoever greenlit this movie did so after two other movies, especially after Cruising, and thought, you know what, there's still a ball to roll up a hill. There's still a way to get this content out there, which today, one movie fails, all movies of that type are canceled, right? So it was a different time, and I guess that is another positive to look at, Patrick.
I think Hiller had a lot to do with it getting greenlit to begin with. I think he read it, thought it was a great story. He has said that, when it came to, he was always drawn to stories about star-crossed lovers. He was like, I never thought of this as a gay movie. I thought of this about people who wanted to be together but couldn't for one reason or another. And he really loved it when he read it. And so I think his clout, because of his sort of back-to-back hits, he used that weight to get this made. Otherwise, I doubt this would have been made.
It's interesting that in this movie, gayness is the brain tumor, right? If this is love story, your husband being gay is the brain tumor.
Yeah.
It is sort of an interesting thing. But I think that's also why I like this movie, is that it does show that, like, if you are a gay person of a certain age, a lot of the gay movies that you watched growing up, or, as a young adult, a lot of them were very kind of happy. There's obviously two kinds. There's the tragedy ones, the sort of bigger tragedy ones. And then there was the stuff that came from, like, England or France that was very, like, happy gay stories, and it all sort of works out in the end. Even if they don't end up together, they end up better people. But this is a movie that just says, hey, y'all, relationships are really fucking hard sometimes. And also, no matter how hard you try, sometimes they just don't work. And they can't work. And that's not because, just because two men are gay, that doesn't mean they're just going to go together. Like there's way more to it than that.
But he does have, Bart walks off into the sunset alone. But Michael Arnkene's character has a relationship, like a healthy, solid relationship at the end.
Yeah.
He flips a switch at one point where he's just like, oh, I don't know about being gay. 2 minutes later, he's like, I love you. And then we're in the future and he's married with children.
I got to say, I mean, David, maybe you had the same maybe you had the same experience. But when I had my first gay sex as a teenager, I thought we were getting married. Like, I thought, literally, I was like, oh, this is it. This is, oh my gosh.
I'm not going to tell this story because it's not a funny story, but yup.
Right. And so
it ends very tragically.
I get it. I get the like, it's you haven't had anything and you taste the best thing in your life and now you want it every day.
Right. It's the thing you've waited for forever. Yeah. And you have had long, lonely hours alone going over it in your head. You've seen it on TV, albeit in a different form. You want the same thing. And that's what's interesting about this too, is that this is just what everybody else saw. So if it resonates, I mean, I can certainly understand why this would have resonated with you. It resonates with me as an adult. Yeah. And to have seen it as a child, to be like, look, they're treating people like me just like everybody else. That is world-shattering in 1982. And it is a shame that it just sort of fell off the radar and then disappeared.
Yeah.
We got any more?
Nah, I'm not doing a crappy one. I'm not doing IMDb. We're not wrecking this one.
Okay, cool. Cool. Because I don't want to hear from the IMDb on this one.
Nope.
Oh God, don't. Oh God.
Degenerates, a lot of them. Mm-hmm. So all right, well, given that, we're gonna dive into this movie right after these messages. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Finally getting to it.
6 hours in.
We open on Monologue City. Claire Elliott tells us about her husband, Zach. Boy, does he love Gilbert and Sullivan. He can just...
Come on, I mean... Girl!
Hey, no, listen. He's just a guy who just loves opera. Loves Gilbert and Sullivan.
We open on, like... these sentimental strings and these glossy airbrushed photos of hot young stars. If this movie had pores, sentimentality would just be fucking gushing out of them.
Oh yeah. It's as if the guy who made Love Story made it. Yep. He could just close his eyes and hear the entire score for Pinafore.
Uh-huh. I bet he could.
She can remember what he wore the day they met. Boy, they really hit it off. He gave her a book of poetry by Rupert Brooke. Rupert Brooke, can you believe it? They wanted the baby someday, and she knew she'd have to name him Rupert. She wants to talk to him again. Maybe give him a call. Damn you, Zach. Damn you and your integrity.
This is so heavy-handed, these head-on. Like, I think they're going for, like, this is a very serious movie. And it's like, Father, we never knew he was a lonely man. If only we had known.
A lot of ellipsis.
Really, it is staring down the hallway into the middle distance. Like
it's the soap opera part. Imagine, if you will, that there's another person in the scene with them, and they're both facing the same direction while one person monologues. That's totally soap opera.
Right. With
maybe
like
that's where they're
a black box theater and just one
this is a one-woman show all the way.
Right.
Yeah. We also
like, if they could have done this in a different way. There's another way to do this if you really have to, and which I don't think they do have to. But they could have done this like, I don't know, two friends having drinks, someone at dinner, talking to a therapist, anything. Talk to another person.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So we also...
I was going to say, as a playwright, that's my other thing. I'm a playwright. And, the eternal question for monologue plays, who are they talking to? Who are they talking to? And I still don't know in Making Love who they're talking to.
They're talking to us.
Everybody.
They're talking to the
eternity.
Yeah. So we also
Janet Maslin.
The ages.
Looking right at you, Janet Maslin.
They were talking, but she wasn't listening.
Yeah.
Sheila Benson, I'm talking to you.
Sheila Benson was like, what's that? Ew. No.
Gross.
Get out.
Strewn about like such exquisite laundry. So we also meet Bart McGuire, who also talks about the day he met Zach. Did they fuck the first day they met or the second? It was definitely the second. He wanted this whole thing between them to work out. Still has the Gilbert and Sullivan records they left at his place. But he's happy to be alone again. He can have the whole bowl of popcorn to himself.
Well, Zach, you blew it with ladies and men.
Then again,
what's left?
Maybe
Spreading your Gilbert and Sullivan all over town like some common whore.
Like so much gay peanut butter and jelly.
So cut to Zach sitting on the floor of an empty house. Car pulls up in the driveway and he runs to greet Claire and the real estate agent. He loves it. It's everything they've been looking for, and they can totally afford it. What with Claire's high-paying TV executive job, boy, are they excited about their future. This house is perfect for them to set down roots and start a family.
This is like the first inkling of the misogyny of the movie, because basically Zach controls the money. Like, she has to convince him, even though she's got this high-powered network job and they have apparently equal income, she has to convince him to go in on the house.
Yeah.
And it will be a great place to raise a baby.
Yeah.
Which is really what she's angling for, you know?
Yeah. But then
Women.
their tune shifts. The place is too expensive for them all of a sudden. They're going to
Also,
have
have you seen that fireplace? Yuck.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This place is the 70s in architecture.
I looked at it and I was like, I don't know, this house is kind of nice. And then they get to that bedroom upstairs and she's like, here's the fireplace. And I was like, nope.
Yep.
Adobe.
They're going to, oh my God. It looks like the interior of a Chi-Chi's restaurant.
It really is. It's really something.
Now I'm sold. You've actually convinced me to buy it.
Yep. Unfortunately, they're going to have to pass on it. Damn. They finally found a place with a fireplace in the bedroom.
Which is so sad because they got that realtor's hopes up so high. She was spending that commission in her head already. And they were like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
Not for us.
So Zach heads off to work where he's an oncologist working with a patient who is convinced that she has cancer. He comforts the crying woman and walks her to her car. On the way, he tells her that this could be great for her marriage. Why, if she were Claire, he'd know that every time they made love. Honestly, I'm not really sure what this
I think that Zach is a very bad doctor.
Yes. Doesn't she end up like having cancer or like he misdiagnosed?
Well, so she has breast cancer, and I think the implication is she has to have a mastectomy, and she thinks her husband won't find her sexually attractive anymore. And he's like, "You what? No, of course not. If you were my wife, I'd fuck you all the time. 6 ways till Sunday, tits or no tits."
Seems weird to me that he's talking to her about how great the sex is going to be to someone who thinks they're about to die, but it works, and she goes away relieved. Oof, we'll come back to that.
Yikes.
On the way home, Zach stops at a traffic light. He spots two handsome dudes on a motorcycle and checks them out. Don't they look happy?
Are they gay? How do you know they're gay? Is it the mustaches?
When he gets home, he busts in and announces that they're buying the house, and they commence with the smooching.
Yeah, that's how, like, he's letting his internalized homophobia lead him to financial ruin. He's like, yeah, yucky feelings. $700,000 here.
Right. Basically, buying a house is like standing in for having sex with his wife in this moment.
Well,
it's kind of like how everybody be looking at Zillow these days. Mm-hmm. Zach is completely unaware that their friend Winnie is there, returning a book of Hemingway. She comes by to monologue at them about all the actors and poets that she knew back in the day.
This lady is a lot to deal with.
Big headband enthusiast.
Also, the sister of the director.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so her role is nothing. Like, literally nothing. There's no
her role
reason
is,
for her to be...
put me in your movie.
Right.
You said you'd do me. You put me in the next one.
Yeah.
And then they come up with this weird conceit that she comes over just to literally do monologues for them. Somehow that's a thing that happens.
Listen, I like classic literature as much as the next gay. If someone was like, I'm going to come over every Tuesday, I'd be like, let me stop you right there. Right. No, you're not.
So as soon as Winnie's gone, they get back to the smooching and retire to a pillow, like a pillow fort on the floor next to the fire.
It's so 70s.
Oh, man.
It may as well have been a bearskin rug.
I was going to say. Yeah, they snuggle by the fire. She's so happy about the whole house thing, but Zach is haunted by something. Well, he shrugs it off. It's just one of his patients.
Dark. longing, a yearning, you might say.
That might actually also be the first time we've ever seen Kate Jackson on screen not in a turtleneck.
All right.
Right? Like even like Satan's School for Girls, Charlie's Angels. Like she's always like the smart girl with the turtleneck.
Satan's School for Girls. He's talking my language now.
So we cut to the YMCA where they have everything for young men to enjoy.
That's true.
You
can get yourself clean.
Here's Zach just hanging out with all the boys playing basketball. All these dudes just putting up buckets in their tiny shorts. After the game, the boys drink some beers in the locker room and bullshit. Dudes rock. Later on,
I mean, I how can you argue? I'm not arguing with that.
I
on board.
I could. These ones.
Now, later on, Zach and Claire, they go to a honky-tonk bar where it's talent night. Country three priests perform on the stage, and the whole place is just eating it up. They have a prize if you win. There's a booby prize if you lose.
This was a sad scene for me. It was a tough crowd. I felt bad for this young lady.
Yeah. A nice young lady with a guitar and a cowboy hat sidles up to their table and informs them that she's up next. This place is just going to love her. And then she gets up on the stage and, hoo boy, she's really gunning for that booby prize.
She got more gongs than the dancing robots that caught on fire.
That's my next line.
Look, if you're going to steal all my jokes on fucking Laughing in the Dark, then I'm going to steal yours on this one.
Oh, shit, that was my next line.
Your dream was to go on the Gong Show, and you did it in 1979.
Oh, shit. So she's booed off the stage, and Zach suggests that he and Claire could do worse than that. So they hop up on stage and jump on the piano, playing I Am the Captain of the Pinafore from Who Else? Gilbert and Sullivan in their opera.
I do think
Pinafore.
I like this scene because it shows that they are both very kind of sweet people.
Yeah.
They don't want her to be the big loser, so they're going to get up and sort of take the bullet.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
which
makes
makes
you
me
like
wonder,
them even
what
more.
is the fucking booby prize? Do they take you out back and shoot you?
No, they give you money for being the worst.
Yeah. So, they play very poorly, very easily snatch up that booby prize. Lucy Lee seems so relieved. And,
It's such
see
a
her.
weird situation. Like, if you start pulling the thread about, okay, so she's going to suck the most. Wait, no, we can't let her think she sucks the most. Let's make her feel like she sucks second the worst. So
It's
we're going to go
heavy-handed character development.
do terrible. And then, I mean, basically what this scene does is show that Kate Jackson's character is a good hang, right? Like, she's up for anything.
Yeah.
She's the best. How could you do this to her?
She's the one. She's like the friend who, if like you're like, I want to audition for this thing, but like I feel like I'm gonna be really bad, and like she's the one who's like, don't worry, I got you. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna be really bad, and then they're gonna think you're great.
Right. Claire and Zach arrive home rather drunk. He gets on the horn to talk to Arlene Powers, the patient from earlier. And wouldn't you know it, a cancer diagnosis wasn't great for her sex life. Her husband left her, which very sincerely sucks. Fuck that guy.
But hey, he's been drinking. Why not go out and do a little doctoring while you're at it?
So he goes over to smooth things out, but she's just pissed off. So he drives out to West Hollywood and pulls down a shady alley lined with dudes looking for a date.
She's kind of a bitch, though. Like, look, lady.
Oh my
First of
God.
all, it's
Hold
not
up.
his
You're
fault.
you're an island on this one, David.
It's not
Go
his
ahead and hang
fault.
yourself.
Hold up. He was like, look, your husband is going to want to fuck the shit out of you.
I
after
know he
you-
walked into it, but like he still came out to support you. You're being an asshole.
Oh my God.
Be a little
my
nicer.
God. Please clip that, but don't include my voice in it at
Listen,
all.
please, you think
ever.
that's the worst thing I've ever said on this show?
Good Lord. I know we're getting to this West Hollywood thing. I will say is before we get into it, as a person who lives out here and has lived out here for 30 years, this is very accurate. It's actually location accurate. Where he meets the guy for the first time is the notorious Vaseline Alley in West Hollywood.
Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Oh,
it's
that's
still called
amazing.
Vaseline Alley. And it's there
Isn't that
are
where what's the circus?
Circus of
Video?
Books is now in that area.
Yeah.
There's several, the gay bars sort of come and go over the years, but that is still, there's a parking lot back there. There's a parking lot on one side and a row of, retail on the other side. And this is the alley behind it. So it's in where the bar is located and all that stuff. There were real bars, etc. So accurate. You can pick up boys there still.
Look, LA plays itself.
West Hollywood Incorporated plays itself.
There you go.
Technically its own city.
So he picks up Ken, one of the hustlers, who offers to have a drink over at his place. Ken leans in for the smooches, but Zach suddenly decides that this is probably a bad idea, and the dude gets out. He goes home.
Ken is barely out of the car before Zach is stomping on the gas.
Yeah.
Like, girl, let him close the door first.
This is not the first time it's happened tonight for Ken. So he goes home.
But also not the first time that it's happened for Zach. I think what's interesting is that I think this is the first time that we really see him doing something, but they cannily make it known just through how it's positioned that this isn't the first time.
No.
Like one of the good things about the storytelling is, start in the middle. Like he's already established, we don't have to establish the first time he does it. He's not, he's actually torn up about it, but it's not him bringing up the courage to do it for the first time, which I appreciated.
It's good that they play it that way too, because the number of times we're going to find him in these situations, he's always very, I'm not going to say casual, but casual enough that if this were a first or second time, he would be wringing his hands and pacing back and forth out front of the bar instead of being inside. So it definitely helps that there is the implication that like, this is a thing he has done before. He just doesn't seem to want to confront why he's doing it.
Right. He knows these rooms. He understands what's at stake.
So also Ken, played by Gary Swanson, who was the lead in Vice Squad that was released the same year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Zach goes home, sadly plays piano.
Puts on a film starring famed homosexual Cary Grant.
There is the coding of the movies that they've chosen in this movie are very, very interesting.
Well, yeah, because they were watching Roman Holiday, and Roman Holiday is essentially a movie about a guy who's sort of
no, she talks about Roman. Way. She talks about Roman and Holiday a little later on. This is they're watching is an affair to remember.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Cary Grant, Deborah Kerr.
I'm betting that every movie that they watch is also in a property of the studio.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, God,
right?
Yeah.
They were like, look, we gave you $2 million to make your gay movie. We're not fucking shelling out for anything else. Right. You can write the music yourself.
Right. It's that or that cartoon that everybody inexplicably watches in their movies. One or the other.
So, yeah. But also they watch it naked. And they know
it's either that or Night of the Living Dead. Make your choices.
For all of those, those movies that are just in the public domain, they never go with Carnival of Souls. It's always Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Because it's so recognizable.
Yeah. Also, they know all the dialogue, kind of. Boy, these two just have fun.
Just the best of friends. Just good roommates. They get along so well.
Monologue time. Here's Bart again talking about the love of his life, a girl who'd watch movies all day with him. Wanted to marry her, but hey, she wanted to go to grad school.
Bitch.
Couldn't they have it both ways? Not like it would have worked out.
No, not in 1982.
We see Bart working out, all sweaty in his jeans. It's like Drew working out like RFK. Working out like RFK Jr.
Listen, it has been because I moved in the last week, I have walked approximately 3,700 miles in the last 5 days, and I foolishly wore jeans most of the time. How anybody would work out in jeans, I do not understand it.
Listen, I was really weirded out by that, and I gotta wonder if it's kind of a herd mentality thing, because the place that I go to work out now, every other guy is doing like deadlifts in denim, and it's like, that's gotta suck,
the most restrictive. You may as well be wearing leather pants. Yeah. It's the most restrictive fabric you could find.
Yeah, like I fully expect him to go out back and have a glass of raw milk with Kid Rock or something. Yeah. Anyways, he's just a man who loves flannel. And also he takes some kind of medication. Wonder what's up with that. That's never answered.
Well, it's recreational drugs.
Is it? I thought that it was okay, so he's just getting high.
But to the film's credit, that's not his downfall. It is a somewhat realistic portrayal of recreational drug use that is not a problem.
I'm sure, because the way that he talks, like he drops some real, smoke a little dope, do a little coke, do some lewds, and I was like, oh man, that's
right.
That's some old school
Who
shit.
didn't?
Me.
Some bennies,
they don't make them
some
anymore.
uppers. Yeah.
So over at
Some
the
black beauties, some yellow bouncers. Come on.
Smoking these jazz cigarettes.
It's my favorite.
over at the neighborhood gay bar, he pops in and makes the rounds. Everybody knows Bart. It's a hopping spot. Finds his bro Michael at the bar, who laments that the guy in the corner that he's been trying to snatch the attention of, dude won't even look at him. Bart,
I love this gay bar scene. I love both gay bar scenes in this movie, but I like them because they feel so authentic, where it's like just a bunch of people hanging out, drinking.
Oh, yeah,
Some
like
of
it was-
them are
remember, it was
dancing,
like-
some of them are eyeing each other.
Yeah, like remember when we did Siege? And I was like, this is the weirdest gay bar I've ever seen. And you're like, well,
And I had to explain that, nope, this is just a bar where
Yeah.
gay people go to be with other gay people. And it feels like I like the second scene, the later gay bar scene the most, because he is what you probably, if you were a straight person for sure, would not have known, is that he's probably in a leather bar. Well, he's probably in a denim bar at that point.
Leather
Because
Levi.
It's all, yeah, he's in,
the
they're all
denim.
wearing...
The denim in this
Yep, they're
movie,
wearing-
it's tight denim shorts, like they're going to a Turbo Negro concert, and fucking
Yeah, they're all
and
like dudes wearing flannel shirts
Yeah.
and denim. Like if there's the leather bars, and then there were denim bars as well, and that was for people who were a little bit less interested in the kind of biker aesthetic.
We're also at this sort of tail end of the gay clone
Yes.
era. So that's sort of accurately portrayed in here, and you see a lot more of that in Cruising. You can tell that it's a movie that has done their research, because the gay bar isn't populated by a drag queen, a leather man, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's because bars.
It's like, look, it's just a bunch of men.
No, I was gonna say
especially back then.
this
were
was-
very segregated.
when we were watching it the other night, the first time I'd ever seen the movie. This was the first time that the movie really kind of jumped out and made me pay attention, because there's no kink, there's no theme. It's just a fucking hopping bar, and it seems like a chill spot, you know.
And the other thing that it has in common with Cruising, people aren't afraid. Like, this is an environment where gay people are safe, right? And so everybody just feels very casual. They're just having conversations and relating to each other and hooking up and stuff like that. People forget that gay bars were created so we could have a place to go where we wouldn't get murdered, right?
What's that, Sean Abley? What are you saying?
There's a reason why, like, we didn't want women in our bars. There's a reason why, they're exclusive. And there was a misguided reason why we didn't want trans and drag queens in our bars. That was a mistake that we learned. But you know what I mean? That there was gay bars were much higher stakes back then.
Well, right. And so this is a thing that I historically has been very hard for me. I'm not very good. This will come as a surprise to everybody, whether you listen to the show or maybe you've met me before, that I'm not very good at explaining emotional things to people. One of them is that in certain cases, there is a good case to be made for voluntary segregation. And by that I mean, there's a reason why gay bars exist, and there's a reason why we don't want them to be mixed. And so when people say, well, why do we need them? And it's like, well, maybe you don't need them, but maybe lots of other people do. Maybe there are people who are, in their 40s or 50s or 60s or whatever now, and they still remember a time when you couldn't go places and touch someone else, or you did, even if you felt comfortable being on a date in a bar, you felt more comfortable being in a gay bar because you knew that nobody was around looking at you. Now, in reality, no one's looking at you either way, but you want to be able to feel very comfortable. And it's not that having a bunch of women in the bar is going to make you less comfortable. It's that the dynamic has changed now. And I don't know you. I don't know straight women, and I don't know the gay men in the bar either, but I know that they're at least enough like me that they don't give a fuck what I'm doing. Right. And that they're not judging me.
I agreed, and I think that so back then there was a real reason for this self-segregation, and it is a very high stakes. People forget that it is literally very high stakes. That is eroded over the years. The young activists don't remember that point, and they've done their job to make it, a bit more fluid in these queer spaces. But there's still generations of gay men who only feel safe in those more segregated spaces. And that needs to be respected for those men because they have survived and they've done the work for you to be able to blah, 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 blah. Old gay man talking. The unfortunate part is we're circling back. We're circling back to a time where those spaces are going to be very important, that they are secure and segregated again. And I'm not saying just gay men in them. I'm just saying queer people as a whole. But like we're gonna have to like get those parameters a little more solid in the years to come, because it's going to be important for our literal survival.
And part of the reason why we're circling back is because of, and I don't want this to sound like I'm blaming anybody for this, because I don't think there is anyone to really be blamed. I mean, largely, institutionally we can, but that the reason we're circling back is that no one ever really, younger people never understood why. Correct. They just thought, oh, well, gay bars were because so people could know who to date. It was like, well, partially. Sometimes.
But also not get murdered. Literally not get murdered.
It was more to feel comfortable, because when I go out with a group of gay men, if I'm in a mixed environment, I'm going to keep my voice down. I'm not going to look at people as directly. I'm not going to watch people as they walk back from the bathroom to the bar or whatever. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to draw attention to me. Not because I think anyone in the bar is going to attack me or murder me, but because I don't know that they won't. If I'm in a bar full of gay men, I can be reasonably certain that none of them are going to do that to me.
Right.
And I can be reasonably certain that they're not going to judge me. They're not going to say snide or shitty things to me. So I can be as loud and be as much of myself as I want to be, within reason. I don't want to be rude to the people around me. But that's what those spaces were. It was not just about going out and hooking up and dancing. It was about having a place where you knew you didn't have to watch your back, and that everybody around you was as comfortable as you were being themselves. It was the only place you could be yourself with reasonable certainty that no one was going to hurt you for it. That's what those spaces were. And the fact that we forgot about that is kind of a little bit of why we're back here again.
Yeah, totally agree. I don't want to extend this too much further, but because we have a movie to talk about.
What? Never heard
but,
of it. I don't know her.
Right. But the other thing is we can actually not murder and hopefully not like attack each other. But we also don't have to be perfect in those spaces. Like we can be snide, we can say things to each other, but there's a commonality and an understanding between us that there's not a danger there, and you never know when you're dealing with quote unquote the outside world if something's going to escalate to a catastrophic degree. With other gay people, I mean, it's just sort of part of the package that we're going to
You can give someone a dirty look. You can, so you can make a flippant comment, and no one's going to push you to the floor for it.
It's called shade. It's called reading. We have cute words for it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry for us gays taking up your straight people's time with our history lesson.
So Bart spots another flannel bro on the periphery, makes his way over after catching his eye. They chatted up a bit, real cool like. They both have a casual jive as they talk. And we cut to Timmy's. That's the guy they talks to. After they finish kicking it, Bart's getting dressed, but Timmy wishes he'd spend the night. Or hey, how about we go out and get a burger with chili sauce on it?
It's nice. He's like, hey man, let's just have maybe we want some food now. Gotta be hungry.
We can get that chili now. Gay men understand why I'm emphasizing that word.
So we also find out through the
everybody understands.
David, that's private.
So we also find out through their conversation that Bart is an author. He's real quick to get out of this guy's place, having accomplished the mission. Poor kid just wants to get Bart but he's too busy being an aloof dude.
Oh.
And we cut to Bart eating a burger with chili sauce on it.
God damn it.
Oh, Bart.
God.
Bart.
My note is, Bart, that's what your date wanted.
We've just now passed the part that is the most unrealistic thing in this entire movie, which is Bart is an author that makes enough money to live in that place
There's another part
you
where he's like,
kidding me?
how much do you make off of the book? And my note was, nothing.
Yeah. He then monologues some more about this guy he went to college with who had a different co-ed in his bed every night. Dude just knocked them all dead. But it's weird. He wasn't a particularly good-looking guy, and there's a euphemism there about how he had a small dick. Bart pops in a videotape in his top-loader VCR, probably a Betamax,
Nice.
and he watches Elizabeth Taylor in Cleopatra on his front projection TV screen.
Wouldn't have been my choice.
This is fancy bachelor pad shit. Those TVs cost a fortune, had a shit picture display, and required total darkness. Also, they weighed about 1,000 pounds. And the monologue continues. How'd this guy get all these ladies? Special sauce was simple. Imagination.
Yeah, sure, I guess.
I had no
I was
idea where that's
thinking
going.
negging them and black lights, but whatever.
So I guess that's how Bart is so charismatic or something. These monologues all seem to me like they're just recycling audition or screen test materials. We cut to the doctor's office. Bart is there for a checkup, and Zach is covering for the doctor while the dude is out. Bart puts on the charm while Zach checks him out. Turns out that Zach has read his books. They banter a bunch, and then they split to have lunch together.
Oh, wow, that's inappropriate.
Right.
Look,
I'm starting to sense a pattern.
I
with Zach.
got a pretty cool doctor. We get along pretty
Hey,
well.
Zach, first of all, stop telling them that you'd fuck them. Second of all, stop actually fucking them.
You're so uptight, Dave.
I know.
You belong in Canada.
Ethics, schmethics.
Conversation turns to Zach's marriage. Married 8 years, no kids. We want to have our careers sorted out before that. As they leave, they encounter Girl Scouts selling cookies at a table, and Bart decides it's time for the Bart show, and she tries strong-arming an elderly couple to walk away from this insane person. And the girl at the table is like, what the fuck, dude? So
I love the girl who's, she's like, hey, fuck you, man. What the hell?
Yeah. So he buys a shitload of cookies. And then they pop into a bookstore where Bart shows off his latest book on the rack, which Zach buys.
I like this because this scene in particular is doing for Bart what the scene in the bar is doing for Claire. It's showing that Bart, we've seen him be sort of coldly detached and kind of not wanting to get involved with people, but we don't want to think that he's a bad guy. We want to know that he's a charming, a person that we would like, that he's just, when it comes to sort of relationships, he's a little bit challenged. And so I think this is a good scene where it's just like, and then he bought all the cookies.
Yeah. So Claire monologues now about some teacher she had a crush on. He called her princess and she wanted to marry him. So she made him a big card and took it to school on the same day that he told the class that he was getting married. So she took it home and tore it up.
Claire, my sweet Claire.
Her teacher was gay, obviously, too.
Well,
The implication.
So now Zach drives by a gay bar while Claire is at work trying to convince the executives that the network should be looking to put some quality dramatic programming on TV. But the board only wants to produce slop because viewers want slop.
yeah, they're like, Claire, this isn't PBS. Get out of here with that gay shit.
She goes back to her desk to review the latest pilot scripts, and her assistant informs her that Zach hasn't been responding to her calls. He's not home, and he's not at his office. He's at a hopping bar just full of guys.
Try the leather bar.
We see him in the place, and I think there's something bothering me about this place.
So many mustaches.
I know.
So many.
This gay bar doesn't have a fire exit.
So many.
I recognize that Simpson reference.
There you go. You've missed about 700 other ones.
But it was this lesbian bar doesn't have a fire
which we
exit.
actually did in the last episode. Also, not the last Simpsons
problem.
reference. So Ken the hustler from the other night spots him, pops over to say hey. Cruises Zach, who makes an excuse to flee. Then he goes home where Claire comes in. He surprises her with some flowers, and the stereo just blasting Gilbert and Sullivan.
I mean, come on. He just goes home. He's first of all, he's going to get a reputation. He keeps putting these guys off.
No, say, hey, the flowers, those are for her. The Gilbert and Sullivan, that's for him.
That's right. That's for me.
So then they head to the
Very straight behavior.
head to the bedroom to kick it. Setup suggests that all is not right. So he pops out of bed to get dressed while Claire just looks haunted. They have to go to his parents for dinner.
What I would have liked a little bit is some recognition of, because we're sort of like Bart or Zach doesn't understand what's happening here. Except you're going to gay bars and you're picking up dudes. Like, you do sort of know. Like, some recognition of like what's happening there would have been a little bit useful, I think.
Yeah.
I say more about that because I feel like he knows what's going on. He just isn't jumping in the pool.
I think my interpretation is that we are sort of given to understand like he knows, but he doesn't know. Like, he doesn't want to confront it, more or less. But it's like, you're at the point where you're going to bars and picking up men. You at least know that you have some attraction to men. I mean, we haven't actually seen him pick up men yet. But,
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Because to me, it always read that he knew exactly, like, he's fighting it, but it's not what's happening to me.
I'm a little
it's
close.
like,
Yeah, I'm a little bit more on board with that. Like, this is him just kind of like walking up to the edge every time.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess I don't know. Maybe I want him to be a little more conflicted. There's something that he seems very neutral about this behavior, and it's a little bit odd.
Maybe it's sort of the inside baseball knowledge that, like, he was in Vaseline Alley, which is a place where you pick up men, like, that to me is like, oh, he's already done his research. Like, he already knows, like, we're far enough into his journey that he knows
like,
what he wants.
You know
enough
enough that, like, you're pretty much all the way there. Like, you just haven't said it yet. And yet the interpretation or the impression that we get is like, he's still wrestling. It's like, you're not really wrestling with it. You just don't want to tell your wife.
So now they go to dinner at his parents' house where his dad is a gigantic jerk off.
And his mother is Nancy Olson, who is Betty from Sunset Boulevard.
All right. Yeah. We're introduced to him at the head of the table, just telling his graduate school son that he's going about this romance literature dissertation all wrong. And they argue over some rich guy bullshit, and it all ends up with some disappointment, and his dad is blowing off dinner at the new house to go do some business guy stuff.
Typical white people.
God, this guy sucks. This whole scene is just so cringe. At work, Zach calls up Bart to see if he wants to have dinner with him. He looks uncomfortable as Bart agrees, and then he calls up Claire to tell her that he'll be working late.
Okay, everybody, here's where my experience of this comes in. Because I ended up in a relationship like this, and that was essentially how it started. Let's go out for a beer. I'm going to be home late. It goes exactly how it goes for Zach.
Oh. So dinner finished, they walk and talk down the street. How come Bart's alone? A guy that sexy should have ladies just all over him. He spares a passing dude in tight jeans a glance. Is it that weird that someone would be so comfortable just being alone? He hooks up plenty. Don't worry about it.
It shouldn't be.
It's alarming to Bart. Like, to Zach, he cannot get this through his head that
but
some
again,
people would just be cool with that.
That's that compulsory heterosexuality.
Okay.
The idea is like, you're supposed to have a wife. You're supposed to have children. Look at you. You can easily go get a woman. Why didn't you? Why haven't you?
Yeah.
That we are watching different movies. That's so fascinating to hear you guys talk about this. Because to me, what's happening here is he knows Bart is gay, and he's chipping his way
he's
out.
trying to get him.
He's
trying to get him to say it.
This whole series of scenes is the two of them kind of feeling each other out.
Yeah.
Without saying it, you know.
And also, I think Zach is envious in a way. Like, how did you get away with not having to have a wife? It's not like, why don't you have a wife? It's like, how did you escape this prison?
That's what I mean. It's like, you're supposed to have this. Why don't you? And I think what he's sort of needling him a little bit to be like, can you just say it to me so I know? Then I know.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, I think that's kind of where this is heading. Is they're both sort of like, they're feeling each other out to be like, are you? But are you? It seems like you are, but can you just let me know so I know?
Yeah.
But we all know.
Yeah. So the topic turns to his writing, and it gets real fucking weird.
What the fuck?
As he explains that his earliest short stories were full of salacious subject matter like incest. At 10 years old, he was writing like V.C. Andrews. Perfectly normal shit.
He was like, well, you might know my earlier works, Nexus and Sexus.
So they head back to Bart's place where he puts a record on the old hi-fi. Zach presses Bart on the whole bachelor thing, and each guy sort of dances around the other to decode their sexuality without just out and out saying that Bart is gay until he does. Bart has
What I like about Bart in this scene I think is really good. But what I like about Bart is that he more or less conveys like, look, I want, yeah, there was a time when I want, because he's like, why don't you have a wife? Why don't you have kids? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, there was a time that I maybe did, but he was like, he kind of says like, I live in a world that won't let me have that. So why would I even want it?
Okay.
Why am I going to pretend to want it? It's off the table for me. So I'm not even going to do that. We're not going to go down that road.
Yeah.
To an audience watching this movie, a straight audience watching this movie, this is revelatory because basically what Bart is saying is, I'm an out gay man. I didn't do those things because I didn't want to. And the audience of straight people probably had, remembering that this movie came out, thought that all gay men had to live in the closet, right? Like middle America thought that
it was all
gay men,
tragedy.
right. But like that they were pretending all the time, and here's a character that's just walking around a city, and doing stuff, and that I think that's Zach's role in these scenes is the audience advocate in that moment, like interrogating. Oh, wait, what? There's a world where people can just be who they are,
right?
Yeah,
it's like as though Bart is saying, well, all that stuff was off the table, so I had to find other stuff.
Right. And you're telling me that I could have been on this track?
Right.
Like this was
like,
possible?
what do you mean other stuff?
Right.
Yeah. So there's more banter. You should. I mustn't. It's awesome. But I love Claire.
Oh, Zach is being obnoxiously coy. Bart is being sort of like understandably guarded because he's kind of like, I don't want to call you out right now. But it sort of seems like maybe.
Yeah.
And so this is, like I said, I've had these conversations where it's like, because I think Bart says something like, as gay men, eventually you can sort of tell because of the way that the other person talks about things, the way that they are kind of maybe a little bit cagey, the way that they don't do certain things, but do other things. Like you can, I don't want to say gaydar, but there is a way to sort of be like, you recognize things that you have done or that other people have done. And he does sort of say like, I can just sort of tell that you've been with your wife for 8 years and it seems like she's just kind of your best friend. And I think that it's such an authentic scene, but just interesting because they're both two straight dudes. They pull it off so beautifully.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bart, with his wit, charm, and good looks, wins him over, and they head to the bedroom where Zach finally breaks the ice and learns a few things about himself.
So, all right. So, an important part of this scene, Zach goes in first. Mm-hmm. Bart doesn't make the move. Zach makes the move. And so, you can't accuse Bart of preying on Zach. Zach finally has to choose what he wants. And that is very progressive for the time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was actually that on the rewatch that I did to write the article. I'll just say it a million times. This is Cinematograph, a zine available on the Vinegar Syndrome website. Yeah, it's really handled so well. And then it becomes a fantasy because I think two of us here have had gay sex for the first time. I'm not going to name the two people on this podcast that have had gay sex for the first time. It wasn't a fantasy. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't as perfect as it turns out because there's stuff you have to do if you're going to do certain things. And there's also just like procedures and like, how do you do this
like
thing
all
for the first time?
All the scenes in Brokeback Mountain where like every gay man in the theater was like, oh, come on.
Come on. You're in a tent in the middle of nowhere and you're doing that? I don't think so. Yeah. So but I appreciate it. Again, this scene is carved on the back of my skull and I reran it a million times as a teenager because it so
It's a great
well.
Scene. It's a great scene because it really does. As much as I don't want to, like, I am staunchly opposed to the idea of like we're just like you because we're not. But
nope.
I do like the idea where it's like it's not that we're just like you, but it's like it's what you would. It's sort of like the emotions, the attitude, the aesthetics of everything. That is the same. The mechanics are different, but like beyond that. And so it is this sort of like, it's just as boring as the rest of you.
Yeah. This was the moment, like earlier on when we were talking, I said, I want to put a pin in it because this is the moment that I wanted to put a pin in because there's also the just sort of the objective facts of the scene in the way that it plays out is when you see, even today, when you see scenes where it's two straight guys playing gay guys and they kiss, they kind of mash themselves together, and it's very forceful.
It's like two Barbie dolls knocking them together.
Kind of. There's a naturalness, like a very a real like an authenticity about this that was very surprising to me.
Well, and there's no hesitancy. Like I said,
that's the big thing
with Al Pacino. Like you can tell that he's not entirely comfortable doing this. These two guys, you can tell that they're just like, I'm an actor. I'm going to go act, and I'm going to be in the role, and I'm going to be in the moment, and that it really lends itself to you understanding that there is something happening here for two of them that is different than maybe the other experiences they've had. Unfortunately, Bart really shouldn't be luring this nascent homosexual into his bed and then turning him out so quickly.
He's hard mode, you might say.
I don't know. I mean, I get that. But
he's a little cold about it.
But Zach pursues him. Zach, does a thing in a doctor's office that he shouldn't have done. He lies.
Really?
He lies to his wife. And again, he makes the first move. It's not perfect motivation, but it's also real motivation. Yeah. Like if you're Bart and you're sitting across from Michael Onkeen who wants to have sex with you, like, let's be frank, you're gonna do it. You're not gonna care about the collateral damage in that moment.
Well, what I do like though is that so he does his usual Bart thing, and it's good that we've set him up as this kind of character.
Wait, are we jumping to after the sex already?
Yeah, because hang on, because I got
notes.
Done? Yeah,
because I have more stuff in the sex. I like the crisp dress shirts. Like I put
the
this in my article.
Slow unbuttoning.
Yes. You watch every moment of these two like heading toward the bedroom, and I just had a fetish for like crisp starch dress shirts forever.
It's like David LaChapelle stepped in and was like, "Get out of my way! I'll do this."
Yeah. And then the kissing, and like it's all shot. There's the wide when they first kiss, which would not have been my choice. But then it goes into the two shot, and it doesn't break away. And then even when we get to when they're in the bed, it is a tasteful, like PG-13 R-rated. Like I wouldn't expect more, right? Like it felt.
And you wouldn't get more.
No.
I feel like in terms of the way the sex is represented in this movie, they are right up against the line.
MPAA would have descended on this so hard. Yeah.
And they probably went in knowing that and were like, well,
sure. But you can see two men on top of each other naked in a bed. Like that is a quantifiable thing that is happening and revelatory for young 13 to 14-year-old Sean Abley. Like we just didn't, I mean, except in pornography, we could go down that route. Like, men have already seen men in loving relationships if you've seen gay pornography at this point. But now I saw this on HBO, in my living room, and I couldn't believe it. Like it was just, anyway.
Yeah. And so then he's sort of like, they finish and he's sort of like, well, I got to get up early in the morning. Yeah. About time for you to hit the old dusty trail, isn't it? But what I like here is that, so like I said, they set Bart up as this kind of withholding character, this very guarded guy. And now in this moment, he does the same thing he ordinarily does. But right before Zach leaves, he just starts up small talk. And it's sort of like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is a weird time. And it's because he doesn't want him to go, but he does. Like, he needs him to go in order to sort of keep up his personality, but he really doesn't want him to leave. And that moment, that one line where he just asks, like, I don't think he asked him, like, why he became a doctor or whatever. It's like, this is the worst fucking time to ask this question, but it's so obvious why he's asking it. It's very clever. It's very well done.
So in monologue, we hear Bart thinking out loud. What did he want me to be? A teacher? Mother? Secret lover?
A father figure? Put your tiny hand in mine?
Mm-hmm. So back at home, we see Zach climbing off of Claire, clearly having difficulties. And then he drives over to Bart's place to give him some shit about his lifestyle. The promiscuity, not the gay one. He is all high pressure. By contrast, Bart is a fairly well-adjusted dude with well-defined boundaries, even if he is a little cold and distant. He assures Zach that, hey, they'll get together soon.
Well, but here's the problem is that yes, Bart has well-defined boundaries, but he also kind of doesn't. And this is why I think I'm going to use the word journey seriously, and that's weird for me, but this is why his journey in this is, I think, would have been more interesting to get more out of, is that he is also becoming something else now. And that is a person who, for the first time, can actually see himself having more options for a future. And yet he's so terrified of it that he sort of blocks it out. And we don't really ever get more from that. But it's sort of, I think it would have been interesting to hear more about that, because I think there were probably a lot of gay men at the time who did feel that way, that it was sort of like, well, this is just what's out there. This is the life that we're allowed to have. And, that you didn't have any mainstream media being like, well, maybe, but let's talk about that.
I think it makes him, in the context of this film in particular, not a tragic gay person, but just a complicated person, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's just a person that's relationship averse. He's not standing in for all gay men. He is this one character. And certainly when I was younger, I never imagined that I would be married today. Like, I wasn't as like, I'll never have a person with me longer than a night, but I certainly wasn't thinking like a house or, what I have right now. So I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but I also think it does a decent job of showing what we thought about ourselves while also giving him some vulnerability, so he's not just a stock tragic gay character.
Yeah, I don't know that him actually going into kind of diverting into that would have done much for the story. Obviously, it would have sort of maybe
you get 2 hours, right? You get 2 hours,
and so I don't know that it would have done much, but I do. I think really what I'm getting at is that I do like that they present him as a complicated person who, like Zach, is also, and like Claire, is going through this thing. All three of them are going through this thing together. They're changing in a very particular way as a result of this one thing. It's like, I mean, it's more complicated than that, but, and I like that they're including him in that as well. It's like, it's not just Zach. This is not just Zach's story. It's everybody's story.
It's unfortunate that Kate Jackson's character has to go through that through the lens of misogyny. Like, there could have been, I mean, yes, to the screenwriter's credit, she's changing, she grows, she's realistically, to a certain extent, reacting to these things, but it's also through the lens of like how she, like, I'm going to quit my job to save my marriage. Like,
she's so sidelined too, where you're like, oh, right, we have to, she's in this movie too, I guess.
Yeah, which is such a shame because she's really good.
Yeah.
And like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you rooting for her. She's rootable.
Yeah.
Even though you want Zach to get what he needs, you're sort of rooting for her to like also be happy.
When it finally sort of comes to a head, he comes out with it and tells her, I wanted her to be enraged. I wanted her to be angry and to hit him. I wanted her to kind of have that cathartic sort of explosion of emotion, and she doesn't.
Yeah.
And that sucks, because it's
Actually,
like, that is how
she does hit him.
She does eventually.
But it does pass pretty quickly. It is sort of one of the movie's failings, is that this movie does sort of position itself as a story about three people, but more like 2.5, because she's got a whole journey.
It's like two dudes and a lady.
Yeah, it's her, because she's got a journey of her own that is barely touched on,
Yeah.
But speaking of Claire, we cut to their friend Winnie's place, where she is just monologuing about some actor dude she knew. I honestly
this lady is exhausting.
No idea what she's talking about. The two of them are
put me in your movie.
At attention, hanging
you
on
said
every
I could
word.
be in your movie.
They go home and Zach digs up her own words. The story that she just told them was from some book. He's in a mood and it pisses her off. They argue about the toothpaste. Sleeping with a guy really seems...
you are arguing about toothpaste, that is how you know your relationship is over.
I thought this was actually a great scene.
They're fighting about one thing, but it's really about something else.
And Claire doesn't know what it's about.
Yeah.
And so were you like, oh God, Claire, you just don't know what's happening. I just thought it was, I mean, I know it's kind of a trope to have people argue about something else when the real problem is the thing they're not talking about, but it for me, it landed well.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason it lands so well is because this whole movie is really about people talking around things. Nobody is being direct. No one is communicating well. They're all just sort of, there's a lot of kind of like insinuation and implication and a lot of sort of kind of coded language. Like Bart and Zach feeling each other out and sort of like, no one's been like, hey, are you a homosexual? Do you want to have sex with me? It's very much like, oh, your wife? Well, why don't you have children? Why aren't you with her tonight? And it's like this, and I would say that under normal circumstances, this might feel melodramatic. This is literally what it's like, though, is to have this relationship with someone who is either not comfortable with it or whatever. It's like I eventually, like I said, I've been in the situation where it was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't have conversations that are actually about one thing, and yet we're talking about it like it's something completely different. And it is maddening to do that. And I think this works so well because if it were just them doing it in one moment, it would feel a little Billy Wilder. But because the whole movie is a bunch of people not being direct with one another, you're like, here we go again.
Yeah. Well,
and everything's amped up.
If you think back to the previous scene before they have sex, before Zach and Bart have sex, when Harry Hamlin, when Bart says, you want me to say it? I'm gay. It's the first time that somebody is speaking that directly, and Harry Hamlin has to carry that. Harry Hamlin has to deliver that line in a way that doesn't make the audience laugh. And I think he does. And in this scene, the toothpaste argument, I mean, one of the biggest fights my husband and I had early in our relationship was over bread. Literally about like buying the wrong kind of bread. And so I was like, oh, right. This really, they did a really good job calibrating this moment.
So at work,
I just moved to another country with someone. I get fighting about bread.
At work, Claire goes to her boss asking for some time off. She needs to sort some shit out with Zach. He tries to talk her out of this, making me wonder how long this break is supposed to be. And then he tells her that she's one of the best he has. She could be the head of the network. And then, holy shit, she's asking for a year off. And he counters with an offer to make her the head of programming.
Yeah, because the alternative is no, and you're fired.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, is this Arthur Hiller? Is this like him in a cameo? Because this character is not listed in the credits.
That's Terry Kaiser. Isn't that Terry Kaiser?
God, that's who it is, because he totally looked familiar to me. He's not in the credits.
Yeah, it's interesting because this movie's filled with TV people.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that makes me give it a lower grade, is because it feels like it was shot with the television unit of a film studio. Does that make sense? Like all those made for TV movies are shot with the TV unit, not the film unit, and they all look a certain way. And if there's a minus for me for this movie, it's that it looks like a TV movie.
Yeah.
So it's like TV people and stuff.
I think Casey Donovan also has a cameo in this.
He's not his husband at the end. Are you thinking about it? That's
not him. He's someone else in one of the bar scenes.
So it's enough to keep her in the game. She goes over to Zach's office to tell him the news, and he is so pleased, but she needs to know what's going on because the clock is ticking on this whole baby situation. Yeah. So he goes over to have to. Also, she's supposed to be like 29 years old in this. It's like, no, it's not.
Look, she's basically dead.
Yeah. 1 foot in the grave.
Charlie's Angel is basically dead.
So he goes over to have some shirtless popcorn with Bart, and they talk about writing. He cooks some steaks on the patio grill, and the subject turns to sports and how Bart keeps his physique. And he swears that he doesn't even work out, which is some bullshit. I mean, look at those abs.
Yeah, fuck you, Bart.
God damn it. The conversation turns to Bart's dad, which might explains a few things about him. His dad had all the boys from work come out to watch Bart's Little League game, which is some weird shit, man. He hypes him up, trains him at batting, but when the time comes to field a fly ball, Bart lets it drop, and his old man was so ashamed of his son that he couldn't go to work for a week, so fuck that guy. Oh, fucking
yeah, it sounds like your dad was a big, giant baby.
Yep. And the night his dad died, he popped into a gay bar for the first time out of spite or something. It's a real sad story that feels a little too specific to be a pure work of fiction from the writers. Bart suggests that Zach stay the weekend since Claire's out in New York, and then they go splash each other in the pool.
Yeah. Cue to the Adonis baths.
And then they hit the arcade for video games, which was a fairly new thing in 1982, and then retire to Bart's place, where Zach reads the outline for Bart's new book. When he's done, he tells him that he thinks he could do better, and Bart is unimpressed with this shit.
I do think that Bart is a little bit like, he goes from, oh no thank you, to, why don't you just move in?
Yeah.
A little too fast.
If you know a writer, then you know not to say that about
Yeah.
Well, that's why
this
anytime, if
sucks,
anyone
dude.
ever asks you, will you read this? Your answer should be, oh no, I'm sorry, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Bart is frustrated with Zach's unwillingness to commit to his sexuality, and Zach is equally frustrated with Bart's promiscuity. They talk it out on the patio, though. Bart gets it. Zach is all tangled up in his marriage, and it's not that easy for him. And then they go to bed, and in the night, Bart tells him that he was right about the outline, and Zach tells him that he loves him.
Two truths.
In the morning, Bart pushes Zach away. Zach tries to get close to him, but he puts up the distance. Tells him that they can't hang today because he's got some shit to do. And then the writing is on the wall, and Zach splits, telling him that he's going to have the talk with Claire.
They're physical in that bed scene. Like they're spooning.
Yeah.
Again, more like Sean Abley, hieroglyphics on the inside of his brain carved there.
Well, we also see in the earlier scene where Bart is with the other guy, he's very like they don't actually show them having sex, but once they're done, he's very distant from him, like physically distant from him. And this time you see him actually staying and being more physical with him, like being intimate with him in that moment. So it's another one of those signals that like this is different.
At dinner with Claire, she rattles on about the new programming at the network, toys with his wedding ring, and she drops a plate, trying to get it through to him. Whatever it is that's going on, she can handle it. So he does the courageous thing and leaves. Now, there's some bloat here where she calls up her dad to ask if he's seen Roman Holiday, which, yeah.
And I love that she says she has to tell him who it is.
You're right. Bart monologues about how he acclimated to being alone when he was a kid. Life is simpler.
I
for
do
him.
like that. I want to say though, as much as that scene, her calling her father is a little bit unnecessary, I do like that it is conveying her sense of loneliness because it's one of the few times we actually get to see it.
Yeah. Also, earlier on in the movie, she makes a remark. It's when they're going to his parents, where he's like thrall to his father, who is like head of the family and all this shit. She apparently has some very distant relationship with her dad and only talks to him a couple of times a year by contrast. So this is supposed to be fairly meaningful.
Like it reminded me of that song, Hey Jupiter.
Oh, yeah.
That when Tori Amos song Hey Jupiter, she said that she wrote it after, I think it wasn't her marriage, but it was a relationship that had sort of fallen apart. And she said it was the first time in her life that she didn't have a man to go to, and she had never felt more alone. And it sort of reminded me of that, where it's like her father is sort of not really there, and now her husband is gone. And I don't know why that was what it made me think of, but she really does convey that feeling of like, I have no one to talk to. The person I would ordinarily talk to is the one who's gone. And she, just in that one small moment, that's all she gets. Like she really gets it across.
It's interesting they don't show her with friends really in the film. Yeah. And I love that scene when she's on the phone again, because it could be super corny, but she delivers it really well.
And
it feels like a real phone call. Like there's too many phone calls that you're saying the thing that the person's saying on the other end, so that we know, and they're not doing that in that scene. But it's also, I don't know. I was just sort of bringing my own personal experience of like having something that I was so burdened with. And even though I had friends, I didn't feel like it was a thing I could talk to them about. And having to go through my mental file of facts of like, who could I possibly broach this subject with?
And then no one would understand. Like,
nobody
who does
comes
she
up
know that she can talk to about this.
And so in my mind, she's not calling her dad to talk about that. She just needs a friendly voice. She just needs somebody to connect to in a moment.
And that person doesn't even recognize her voice when she calls.
And we don't see him on screen. Like it's really interesting the way that they're really conveying her isolation in this moment.
Yeah. And I'm glad they do it because like we don't get much more. And
Right.
I think she does a lot with what she's given.
Yeah. So Bart monologues about how he acclimated to being alone when he was a kid. Life is simpler for him when he's on his own. Being a movie guy, he found that it was easier to be alone with Liz Taylor, Marilyn Monroe, and Natalie Wood.
I want to say this again. I know we're taking a lot of
and then he shirtlessly watches Cat on a tin roof.
I get it. But I think I don't know if this still resonates, but like for me, that was very, very true. It was just a lot easier because you couldn't talk to anybody. It was so much easier to be alone. And it was so much easier to find comfort in, for me, it was old Hollywood. It was like old movies, old television, even like television from the 70s. It was like, I spent more time with Mary Tyler Moore than I did with children my own age. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I don't know if that's common, but like that resonates. So this idea where it's like, it's just easier to not feel like you're going to upset or disappoint people. And I'm sure that was probably true for a lot of other of men.
I would say for me, it was Famous Monsters magazine and Fangoria magazine, like literally like reading monster magazines and reading the letters columns and discovering like fandom and fanzines and like ways to communicate with people that were outside of your reach. Because I had the same, like even to this day, I'm happy with my own company. Like, my husband, if he goes on like a work trip or something, he'll be like, leave the house when I'm gone. I'm like, and then I'll like just stay home for a week.
Sure, there's and it's not because I'm like, out there.
Right. I'm like not agoraphobic. I love people, but like I can be very, and I think a lot of,
I love being alone.
I think gay kids, maybe not so much anymore because they don't have to, but I think gay kids of a certain age develop that skill.
Yeah.
So Claire returns home from work where she finds Zach waiting for her. He tells her that he spent the night in his office and it's time they had a talk. He sits her down and anxiously begins to explain himself, his repressed desires. He tells her that he's into guys. Slow zoom on Claire, who tries to avoid the whole thing.
She giggles and is like, let me get the sherry.
Tells her. He tells her that
I hate this scene.
I'm so disappointed by this scene. It's just such a heartbreaker as an audience member because it could have been so good. The movie was so good up to this point, and they just whiff it.
And I wonder if it's coming out at a time in 1982 where we're deep in the gay rights movement and sort of gay activism, and I think there at least was an attitude of like, this was so hard for all of us, and you people made this so hard for all of us that you don't get to have a say in anything. And so when it comes to him coming to her with this piece of information, I wonder if to the men who wrote this movie, they were like, no, her reaction doesn't really matter. She doesn't get to be angry. She doesn't get to feel used or betrayed. And there's like some acknowledgement that a person might feel that way, but not the full range of emotion that she should have a right to explode with anger. That he lied to her, that he's been keeping things from her, that he's been going out at night with other men, like he's putting her physical health at risk, like all of this stuff. And I wonder if it's really their perspective that like, we don't really care what her reaction would be because it was so much harder for us than it was for the people we were telling.
Yeah.
It just breaks my heart.
I was saying, because this does kind of go back to a point that Sean made it very kind of up at the top in the sort of initial conversation about this, is that like the focus is very much on how Zach's life changes, and it all kind of, comes out like really, everything kind of, it's a happy ending, but like, yes, her everything is fucking blown up in this moment. And it's not really addressed in the movie whatsoever. So,
and even Bart's coldness is treated as, he's being cruel, he's being withholding. And it's like, but you're also kind of stringing him along. You're saying, well, I'm going to tell her, I'm going, maybe I'll come out, maybe I'll realize everything. And it's like, you have been fucking this guy for like 6 months.
Yeah. Up until the moment where, I said it up at the top, like she says, you can tell me, I can handle it. And you just know what's coming. And then as a viewer, what happens after he tells her is just so disappointing. And there's a little bit of lore around this that Kate Jackson like wrote her own dialogue in this scene because she felt it was really underwritten. and from a woman's point of view, and she actually wrote a lot of her dialogue in the movie, supposedly because she felt like her character wasn't being serviced by the gay screenwriter. And she didn't. It wasn't put in those terms. That makes it sound discriminatory, but yeah,
not wrong, but discriminatory.
But yes, in a movie that I want to cheerlead, this scene is the one that should be the most important scene. It should be the scene I can point to, and it lets me down. It just lets me down, and everything after this. Not everything. I don't want to paint it with that broad of a brush, but it's like comedy. If you're a comedian and you fuck up your timing, you lose the audience. You lose their goodwill. You lose their credulity, and that's what happens in this scene.
And everything after feels a little perfunctory.
Right. It's like, oh, I can't trust this movie anymore because they fucked up the most important
They really
scene.
pull their punches when they absolutely shouldn't have. And he says something going into this conversation that really hit me is he says, I've practiced this so many times. Mm-hmm. And when someone says that, they're about to hit you with something really, really big, and it is going to suck for you. And so to just have her be like, oh, no, let me go get the desserts now. It's like, come on. Yeah.
She does
she's just kind of some silly woman.
Yeah. She does such a good job of not playing the end of the scene, which is like an amateur thing that you play the result too early, which is why it's so devastating when he says it to her and the look on her face. But yeah, it just, damn you, Arthur Hiller, and everybody involved.
So he tells her that he slept with someone, and she loses her shit, just slapping him a couple of times. And she thought that he was with another woman. What does this all mean? Has he been hiding behind her this whole time? Was this all a lie? Poor guy tries to make it all clear, but all she can summon is a story about how she begged her dad to take her to Radio City. And on the day they were supposed to, she came home to find that he'd walked out on the family, all because he didn't want to go to Radio City.
It's kind of a stupid... I think what she's saying is that her father left and her mother kind of made up this story, but it's kind of a cheesy monologue, but she delivers it so well that it's like, well, you did the best you could.
Yeah, the implication here is men have been walking out on me this whole time, which is, again, this is like the beginning threads of a larger story that they could have told about her. And
because she says, hell of a way to say goodbye, and she delivers it with such it's just beautiful kind of spite.
So he goes over to Bart's to tell him and asks if he can stay at Bart's place while this all gets sorted out. And Bart does his best to let him down easy. Look, man, Bart's a loner, Zach, a rebel. He's made it clear as day with you several times now that he just doesn't want to roll like that. And you seriously just can't roll up and stuff yourself into this guy's life.
But he also hasn't at the same time. He keeps kind of going back and forth about but you should move in for the week. But also I'm not down for relationships, just so you know.
So Zach slips out into the night and Bart monologues about how there might have been something there, but he had to let him go. Whole thing was a learning experience for the next time when maybe he will be ready. And he wanders.
There's also we get a cool tracking shot here of Bart. I love the way that
going down the street,
he's walking. Yeah, his reflection keeps kind of popping in and out as he walks by each window.
Yeah. And he wanders down to the bar, running into all the dudes who want to cozy up to him, and he just brushes them all off. Zach, meanwhile, settles in on a Hollywood no-tell motel while Claire sits at home listening to Gilbert and Sullivan operas.
The worst. Just the worst.
She angrily throws the record on the floor.
I want Wagner, and she is setting his clothes on fire in the front yard.
Yeah, listening to Carl Orff. So she angrily throws all of Zach's suits on the floor, finds a matchbook in the pocket for the gay bar he'd been going to, and there's a name and an address in it.
Oh, this part sucks.
And she drives over to the address and finds that the place belongs to Ted the Hustler? Ken? Somebody. He doesn't know who she's talking about, but invites her in to talk. Dude is very understanding and accommodating. She shows him a picture of Zach, and he remembers him, but not the details. But he's
like, look, lady, I love fucking. I do it a lot with several people during the day. I do not get their names. I'm sorry this happened to you. Why is this scene in the movie?
I love when he's like, hey, can I get you a beer? Maybe you want to hit off this joint?
Want to drop a couple nudes while you're here?
Boil your hair.
Yeah, it is odd, but again, I like her in the scene. And again,
The
she's
thing
given
is
something hard to play, and
It gives her something more to do, I
There's
guess.
a thing that I do like about the scene is like he suddenly realizes like what's happening here, and all of a sudden he gets real gentle with her.
yes,
Because he realizes like this sucks for her right now.
they could have written this scene like him being mean, like you need to, honey, you need to, like, but he does, but I think most of us would be, I would hope, at
course.
least, like, I'm not going to invest in you, but I'm also not going to destroy your world for you, like,
I'm very sorry this happened to you.
yeah.
So she goes over to Winnie for advice, who assures her that what they have is Winnie's advice is still fucking awful.
Winnie's advice is the fucking worst.
What they
Girl,
have,
get back in there. You can fix him.
what they have is real, but that shit's complicated and people are messy. She tells Willie that he's the only guy that she's ever wanted, and Willie tells her to go to him, which is just bad, or at least by the measure of this movie it is. So
Right.
Zach goes back to his sad little motel room and finds Claire waiting for him. They talk it out.
How did she get in?
Well, she told the manager.
That was the first thing. Oh, that's right.
I'm his wife.
Yeah.
And he's like,
It's
oh,
the
shit,
80s.
okay. So they talk it out. She thinks that they can make this work, but he's adamant.
Claire,
Nothing,
girl, stop it. You're better than this.
there's nothing to be changed, and it wouldn't be fair to her. Now, it's 1982, and the public isn't ready for polyamory, but that might make things a lot easier on the two of them.
They are
But
also, if you've ever watched a bunch of Hallmark movies, the couples because breaking up in a Hallmark movie is sort of like, it's how every one of them starts for the most part. And they're always so blasé about the end of their marriage where they're just like, well, I guess we had a good run. And then they shake hands and go their separate ways. And it's like, what?
that's my big thing in this one, because this scene ends that way where they're like, well, it's been fun, baby. And she's like, you know what? It has. I'll miss you. And it's like, hang on a minute. But then again,
Should I call? No, don't call.
No, there's like 10 minutes left in this movie. So they agree to let the whole thing go in divorce. He has a lead on a new job in New York. And he suggests
Yeah,
that
he's going to trade California for New York like an idiot.
this fucking fool. They move across the country to avoid falling back on each other. It's a hard conversation, but they handle it like adults. More monologues. Claire talks about being alone and how she's cool with it, but she also wants a baby. Yeesh. Ladies, am I right?
Yeah.
She still thinks about
Shopping in babies.
him. She still thinks about him when she's alone at night. She knows that he had to do what he had to do. Boy, she misses him. Many years later, we find Zach living in a nice, very expensive apartment off of Central Park in New York with a dude who sounds like Troy McClure. Zach's boyfriend answers the phone, and it's Zach's brother with some bad news. Their old friend Winnie has died. Not sure he can go out to Los Angeles and see Claire again. But things are different now. She has a husband now and a son, and his boyfriend encourages him to go out and see her. It'll be all good. So they attend the funeral together and reunite for the first time in forever and greet each other as old friends. He's out there living as his true self, happily. She's out here in LA with a dude she loves and that baby she always wanted, a baby named Rupert.
Dumb.
He stops by her place on his way back to the airport to meet them and finds that her husband's a good guy. Doesn't like Gilbert and Sullivan, doesn't read Rupert Brooke, but otherwise it's a
That's
dream.
how you know he's not gay.
They do a little catching up and part as friend. We crane shot away from the house and roll credits on a sweet Roberta Flack number that must have killed on Magic 106.7, Boston's home of soft rock, playing the soft hits of the 70s and today.
It was indeed a hit. And
It
is
was.
a great song.
It's a great fucking
Omnipresent.
song. I love it. Oh my God. And I definitely remember that song driving around with mom listening to WMJX.
That's right.
So there it is, making love.
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
I was very surprised. I was very surprised because when this one came up, I looked at it and I was like, why are we doing this movie? And then we watched it, and like particularly kind of in that group setting over on the Discord. And like when we came out the other side, like when we went in, there were a couple of listeners who were like, oh, I love this movie. I watch this movie all the time. And when we were done, there were a couple of them who were
Every
like,
Christmas.
they were like, this might be like an annual Pride watch for me. So
It's a very, I think it's a very authentic presentation of, people struggling with not just coming out, but like the implications of coming out and what that means for the other relationships they have and the other people in their lives. And another person sort of like starting to see, what Bart's role is in this movie is that through Zach, he starts to see that he does have other options. There is a larger world, and it doesn't just have to be the way it is if he doesn't want it to be. Now, in the end, it seems like he kind of does.
We badly wanted an epilogue on Bart.
Yeah. He's one of I think that him and Claire, they're great characters, and we spend maybe a little too much time on Zach.
Yeah.
Bart sort of disappearing again, literally walking into the sunset 10, 15 minutes before the movie ends is odd because it's like he dies in a weird way.
Yeah, kind
It's
of.
very uneven between the three of them. Yeah, is it a movie about three people? Yeah, I guess technically, but
Sure.
it's very uneven.
Yeah. But the three of them being complicated human beings. Nobody's a hero, but nobody's damned because of their choices.
And no one's a villain either.
Right. I think it's a real, again, a progressive movie in the sense that it was definitely, it would have been easy to make this movie laughable. Like it would be easy to have made a movie that today in 2026 we're looking at and just like roasting.
Yeah.
But instead they made a movie that fell prey to everything except for its quality. It fell prey to the times. It fell prey to the critics with an agenda. It fell prey to a nervous studio that made it in the first place. And then it fell prey, bad marketing. And then it fell prey to the sort of the oral tradition of the gay community, bad-mouthing a movie that most of us probably hadn't seen or had seen so long ago that we let the sort of zeitgeist infest our memories of it. Mm-hmm. And so I think what's happening now, I'm doing my part, you're doing your part, is that we're in desperate need of positive cinematic representation. And so to pull these films forward, to disentangle, untether them from their past and make them more present now is a valuable. I love hearing that people are going to maybe make this a pride watch every year because it deserves it at this point, right?
Yeah, it's very unique in that way, even by the modern standard, because they're making more queer movies than ever, but there's still, because they're positioned at the broadest possible audience, there's still a kabuki quality to the queerness where there's always a drag queen and there's it's very loud, it's very,
and in the end the two teenage boys fall in love and they're prom king and king.
Yeah,
not that those movies are bad. I think those movies are great. I wish that I had movies like that. But I also wished that I had seen movies like this.
Yeah,
I think this would have had a bigger effect. This reminds me a little bit of, that movie, A Beautiful Thing, the British movie? Mm-hmm. It reminds me a little bit of that, where it's like, it really deals with it realistically and what it means for for people to have these sort of revelations in their lives and what it means to the people around them. And it just sort of deals with it head on, and it's not making any judgments about anybody. It's just showing you what it is like, and it's doing it as authentically and as realistically as it can. And I think this one does a great job.
Yeah.
I think it was made with goodwill. There are other, I actually love Brokeback Mountain, even though it's a tragedy. I feel like that movie was also made with goodwill. Mm-hmm. And it, not every movie has to be perfect. Not every movie has to be a happy ending for us. And that one explored a tragedy through a lens of, compassion, realism, goodwill. So I'll take that. I'll take that tragedy. And I feel like this, as opposed to just gay characters thrown into a movie to be a tragic figure because writers and filmmakers are lazy. And I'll take this one too. I'll take this one for its goodwill, for its imperfections are the imperfections you'd find in any film. And so, judged on that metric, I think it's honestly a success.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there it is in the bag. Sean Abley, I want to thank you for coming over. This was
thank you for having me again.
This was a really, really interesting talk. It went way longer. There's not a dull moment in this in the chatter. I think you really kicked this up a notch.
Well, feel free to pull me up wherever you need to. I say a lot, as I'm discovering on my own podcast, where I'm trying to make myself sound intelligent.
Oh, it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable.
Pulling those little things up.
When you listen back to your stuff, you just start to cut them out in the mix. But
geez Louise.
Yeah. So you got a lot going on, and a lot of stuff that I think is very relevant to our listeners' interests. So go list away.
The first thing I'll bring up is something that is another person on this podcast participated in, which is physical media booklet essay.
That's right.
A
That's right.
zine that I came up with, and I asked David to be part of. And we're sort of revealing what it is by this point. All movies come out eventually on a Blu-ray or a 4K UHD and a box set with a booklet, and it has essays in them. And all of us film writers want to write these essays, and I wanted to write more.
God, I would love to write one of those.
It's a great gig. I've done a couple. But I was trying to figure out a way to just not wait around for people to ask, and I came up with this idea that we would actually write 2,000-word essays, not about films that were already out there, because that's just happening all the time, but films that only exist within other films. So fictional films, like a very broad example would be Stab, that only exists in the Scream franchise, which somebody, Julius Stipidus, wrote about for the zine. So 9 of us, including David, picked these fictional films, extrapolated as if they were full-length real movies, and then wrote our 2,000-word essays about them. So you can get that from me at SeanAbley.com.
Yep, and we'll link to that in the show notes. Definitely pick it up. I know for a fact that a couple of our listeners have bought a couple.
And,
it's fantastic.
And so there's also a companion podcast, Physical Media Booklet Essay, The Podcast, which I was literally editing all this weekend, which is a half an hour discussion between 2 writers about me. I host, and then I bring each writer on, and we discuss their specific entry in the book and like how they put it together. I love to listen to writers talk, so if you like to listen to writers, that would be a podcast for you. And then my other book turned into a podcast, Queer Horror, a Film Guide, the podcast, where I take the writers from the book that I put together, Queer Horror, a Film Guide, and we do 30 minutes on movies that they wrote about for that book. I just realized I have a thing, making books into podcasts. So that's it. And you can find me as Gay of the Dead everywhere, including my Patreon.
Yeah. All right. Listeners, do check it out. It's well worth your time. So that said, what's next?
Well, next week, Bring Me the Axe coming back. Pride Month continues apace with the bonkers horror sex comedy Thundercrack. And then in 2 weeks, 99-cent Rental will return. We're going to do something a little risky. We're going to be covering 3 early queer indie movies in the same episode. We're going to be talking about Kenneth Anger's Fireworks, Curtis Harrington's Picnic, and the first Canadian gay film, Winter Kept Us Warm.
It's going to be interesting. This is an experiment.
Yeah, 2 of them are silent films.
Because we've danced around trying to get Kenneth Anger's stuff on the show in the past, and this will be sort of a test run to see if we can pull it off. So we'll see you next week with Thundercrack. Boy, that's going to be interesting. And then after that, we'll be back with our queer short film parade.
Au revoir.
Don't.